Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, the New York Mets, movies, TV, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a plump and furry Irish Italian American who graduated from a Catholic high school but is not Catholic, and also went to a college known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then I just straight up became neither. Just no thanks on both of those. Although, looking back, I probably should have been a doctor and lacrosse player. Oh, how my life would be different now, tell you what. Instead, I'm a believer. Not a believer. I'm a believer. You can leave me a voicemail at 862-BIT-1986. That's 862-B as in boy, oh boy. Are we done with Brody Van Wagenen? I, as in, I am very excited about the Mets 2021 season. T, as in, touch them all. Because we're going to touch them all. We're going to hit a lot of home runs this upcoming season. And we're going to touch every single milestone this season. Division championship, conference championship, Super Bowl, World Series. 1986, that's the last time the Giants and the Mets actually won a world championship in the same year. See? Yeah, I threw you for a little curveball right there. Subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube, okay? Go to YouTube, and you punch in Real Cinch or Neal Lynch or Giant Mess, and just look for my mug. You should be able to find it very easily. YouTube.com/Neal Lynch or YouTube.com/Real Cinch. Real Cinch on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to Facebook.com/Giant Mess, or you go to my official blog, which I never update, neallynch.com. Subscribe to Giant Mess on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you like to listen to people rant and rave like loonies, of which I am one. On this episode, we're going to talk about my 40th birthday trip to the city of brotherly love, the Philadelphia. We'll talk about the Umbrella Academy Season 2 finale, the Borat sequel. I got made fun of by my wife. Borat or Borat? I said Borat. I think I said Borat, but it's Borat? Yeah. Duh. We'll recap the Giants' Week 9 win. Because we lose so much. That's why I said loss. But we actually won over the Washington football thing. Preview the Giants' Week 10 contest against the Philadelphia Eagles. Talk about Steve Cohen's first days as Mets owner. Wow, what a debut, what a splash onto the scene. Holy macaron. And then we'll talk about the first candidate for the head of baseball operations, Marcus Stroman, accepting his qualifying offer, Trevor Bauer winning the Cy Young, and then a couple bold predictions for the Mets 2021 offseason. So with that, let's get it on. Like a doggy kong. My 40th birthday was on Monday, November 9th. I was born in 1980. It's been 40 goddamn years. What the fuck happened? Lordy, I turned 40. And my wife was struggling with coming up with an idea for my birthday. Do we do a weekend getaway? There are plenty of weekend getaways in the fall. But with COVID, with coronavirus, are we really, really restricted and limited to where we can go and what we can do? Yes. Short answer, yes. So after a lot of consternation, a lot of proposals being tossed about, we went with Philadelphia, which is growing on me. And I think it's kind of has to grow on me for our next step to work. We are looking to make a move closer to my mother-in-law so that we can actually have lives and maintain sanity. Because this daughter of ours, it's almost 10:30 on Thursday night, November 12th, 2020. And she just refuses to go to bed. And it doesn't help that God bless teachers. God bless daycare workers. Anyone who has to deal with children on a regular basis, all the time, every day, all day. Holy shit. That is a lot of work. And luckily, my work has settled down somewhat. Big news professionally, career-wise, that I cannot get into right now. I'm embargoed. A lot of embargoes. Everything that's going on is so embargoed with what I do with my life. It's embargoed. But this is embargoed till like February 20th, 90 days from now. So maybe you can do the math. But February 20th is one big announcement, I guess, if you want to stick around for that. If we're still doing the show, I don't know. Basically, Breeze, my daughter's daycare shut down. They had a second positive corona tests, COVID tests, whatever. One of the workers, employees who lives with two other employees. So they just shut her down. And then Governor Murphy's talking about shutting down schools until January something. So winter is coming, and it is going to be a brutal. Especially going back to what we had before, where it's like two full-time employee parents, two full-time worker parents trying to watch a 2-year-old. And my wife works around the clock. So yeah, we might be going on hiatus from the show. we might just do that because it's not, I'm like, by the time Bree finally puts her head down for her nap, like I'm ready for a nap. And I've just been like, the life has been sucked straight out of me. So that's where we're at right now. 40. Hell of a time to be alive. So that's 40. This is 40. Cool. So how did we celebrate? Went to Philadelphia, like I said. We did that because it's, kind of in the same direction as where my mother-in-law lives. And so we dropped her off Bree there on Sunday. So Friday and Saturday was just like cleaning, just straight up cleaning everything. Clean. And then Friday was like, let's just fucking relax. Just relax. So I don't even know what I did Thursday. But Friday was like, I watched Borat, subsequent movie film, the sequel, which I, for some reason, couldn't pronounce on Sunday night. But Sunday, got up relatively early for Sunday and got Bree to the mother-in-law's, and we went to the Four Seasons Hotel, not the Total Landscaping Company. I mean, you want to talk about, the theme of this episode is timing. Timing is everything, right? And timing couldn't have been more peculiar or particular the past week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. It just seems like if any single thing is slightly off in the timing, I mean, you want to talk about time splinter, like a whole just like going off the timeline into some other timeline. So many different, we talked about sliding doors last week with Paltrow, shout out. It applied tenfold this past week with everything that the way the dominoes fell. And I wish I could get into it more. And I know like nobody listens. So it's like, what's the odd? What are the odds of this? Me saying something coming back to bite me in the dick. But I know for a fact that would happen. I know that somehow, some way, that sixth person who tunes in will be like, oh yeah. And then it's like, I'm screwed. So we'll pump the brakes on that kind of talk. But so we go to the Four Seasons Hotel, not the Total Landscaping Company. And for everyone who thinks that, you booked the Four Seasons Hotel as a joke because you saw what was happening with the Four Seasons Total Landscaping Company on Saturday when Biden won, when it was called, the election for the president of the United States of America was called for Joseph Biden. And so Trump had to make his, I guess, speech, not a concession speech because he's suing everyone and thinks he still won. But he apparently, the news was that he wanted to book his speech at the Four Seasons Hotel, and it ended up being at the Total Landscaping Company. Four Seasons Total Landscaping Company. We had booked a hotel, the Four Seasons Hotel, not the landscaping company, well in advance of that. So that was a funny little joke that we told everyone on Sunday. Everyone. My wife was very proud of that joke, and I was too. But it's at the same time, it's like you can still see like there are some people that don't respond kindly to that. It's like, come on, it's a joke. You gotta, if you can't appreciate that as a joke, you need to, I don't know, comedy school, get your funny bone checked. But yeah, so we were at the Four Seasons Hotel, and what a goddamn hotel this thing was. I think it's the tallest building in Philadelphia, at the Comcast Center. There's maybe one other building that's taller, but which is, you look at New York, the New York City skyline, and there's that one like super skinny, thin, tall building that's like a 200 floors tall. It's like, well, Philly's not that. But we were staying on the 52nd floor, which is funny because my wife is scared of heights. She just can't take it. So when we're on the elevator, the glass elevator going up, first of all, getting into the hotel, you obviously wear your mask. You have the valet. The valet's wearing gloves. Everyone's wearing masks. But before you can actually check in, and the check-in is not on the ground floor, not on the first floor. It's on the 60th floor. Okay. But you enter the building, and I've always wanted to do this. And this is how you know the future is here. The future is nigh. They have cameras that scan your face and can check your temperature. Yes, that is exactly what I'm fucking talking about. The future. This is the part of the future that I liked. Hover cars, retinal scans, temperature checks. So you look in cameras and like there's like a bloop, bloop, bloop. You're good to go. It's like approved. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. That's the future I want. Because then it's like, I'm fine. It's 2020. Like, do we feel like we're in the future other than like iPhones? Do we feel like we're in the future? I don't. But then getting the temperature check via a camera, I was like, fuck yeah. All right, we're in the future. So we're good to go. We get a little yellow pin that says we've been scanned or whatever. Go to the 60th floor to check in, and there's a glass elevator and going up, and it's like, you are up there, man. And there's not a lot of other tall buildings in Philly. There's like 2 or 3 others right in that immediate area. And then everything else you can just see and see and see. And of course, I just told my wife, like, you stand with your back to the view. I'll appreciate the view. You look at me appreciating the view, and then you can appreciate the view, because I know that you can't appreciate the view firsthand due to the heights. Check in, 60th floor. My wife mentions it's my birthday, and they're like, oh, happy birthday. I'm like, oh, thank you. We go to our room, which is on the 52nd floor. Check in, go into the room, and it's amazing. It smells great. I wish I could bottle that smell and just have that smell at all times in our house, because it's just so calming, and it feels like everything's fresh and everything's new, and you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. So, dropped off our bags and went to Jean-Georges at the Sky High restaurant, which is on the 60th floor down the hall from the check-in. And, I've always been one of those people that's like, I never really got really fancy, really expensive restaurants that are just like, the portions are so small and you're paying out the ass, and you're like, what? I'm a portion guy. I like big portions. But I'm starting to appreciate the finer things in life now. And I know I sound like 1%, like I'm abandoning my blue-collar brothers and sisters. That's not the case, but it's nice once in a while to indulge. And I think if you talked to me when I was 25, 26, single, I'd be like, I would never be caught dead in a Jean-Georges. But we went, and we had a good old time. We got for drinks. I mean, the drinks just taste fresh. Everything was fresh and new and clean, and just like, You felt like you were, like if you were to, I know this is cliche, but if you were to die and go to heaven, like maybe this is what heaven's like. Everything's fresh and clean and nice. This is heaven. I mean, we were close to heaven. We were 60th floor, and the floors were tall. So, but sitting there, you have a beautiful view of Philadelphia. The wife had a gin martini with like a cucumber, kind of with the speared cucumber, and super fresh. And then I had like a margarita, a really nice margarita. I think might have been mezcal. I don't know, but so good, so delicious, so clean, so fresh, refreshing, crisp. We had Borat, so shout out to Barstool Chief from Barstool Chicago, who listed Borat as one of his top appetizers in the Barstool Snake Draft. I mean, yeah, I would say if you were to put that like in every sports bar and the word got out, it might become a top appetizer because it is really good. It's really good. And this one was Burrata with a tarragon something and a fig compote. And it came and we started eating it, and I noticed these little like fruit looking things on the plate surrounding the burrata, and I was like, huh. And it didn't click because I didn't think, in my head I was like, what is this? Because I see there's the fig compote, there's a burrata. Okay, I see that this ingredient is that and this ingredient is that. I can point out everything on the plate, but I can't point out what these fruits are. Like, are these little kiwis? What are these? Little slices of it. So then I'm eating them, not knowing what they are, because I'm a big dumb animal. Why not? And eventually I was like, we gotta ask the waiter. And I was like, hey, I have a dumb question. He's like, oh, no, please, no question is dumb. Just feel free to ask any question. I was like, okay, what's this? And he goes, that's a fig. Shit. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that would be a fig. If there's a fig compote and it's nothing else is mentioned in the list of ingredients, then yes, that would be a fig. I don't know why, but I got figs and dates completely twisted. I thought dates were figs were dates. And I've had dates. I love dates. And I always thought those were figs. I would refer to them as figs, and I always got a screwy look from people, and I was like, all right, I guess they don't like figs. Nope, it's because they're dates, asshole. They're dates. I didn't go on a lot of dates when I was single. I've eaten more dates than I've had dates. I'll say that. But for some reason, when I eat a date, it feels like I'm eating the innards of a fig Newton. Okay. And I think that's why I thought dates were figs. But after I asked that question, he said it. You could see in his eyes, yeah, that was a fucking dumb question. So got that going for me. He must have, after that, he was like, okay, these two people are out of their element. They are fish out of water. They are out of their league. Let's see what else I can squeeze out of them. We also got a black truffle and fontina pizza. So good. So good. And a bacon cheeseburger. A bacon cheeseburger. And you might say to yourself, Jesus Christ, you guys. You white trash much? And it's like, yeah, but it just sounded so good. I know you can get a bacon cheeseburger anywhere. I know it. And there was plenty of other stuff on that menu, but it just spoke to us. And you can't deny that. So that was lovely. We had a good time. Got a little nice buzz going. And then we took some food back to the room. And by the time we got back to the room, there was a slice of birthday cake in front of the TV in like a little glass case. Like, oh, dear God, this hotel knows how to do it. Know how to make me feel all right. So we go to this 5-iron golf in Philly to go to a golf simulator. And, it's Sunday. I didn't even realize that the Eagles had a bye week. Didn't realize it. And it's for the best because I made sure not to wear any Giants gear because I'm like, I don't need to get like murdered before my actual 40th birthday. Like, I need to see 40 to see what's up. And totally forgot the Eagles were not playing in it. And looking back, it like makes sense because, it would have been a madhouse in Philly if the Eagles were playing. And it's unusual too, because like I'm so used to before COVID hit going into New York City and there's just people everywhere, just teeming with people. You're constantly bumping into people and touching people and getting breathed on and breathing in people and scraping and butt rubbing and just grinding and grooving. And it's trying to avoid people. It's just, they're everywhere. And so walking down the street on Sunday afternoon in Philly, there was nobody, hardly anybody. Lots of homeless, but what are you going to do? And so walking down the street, going to the golf simulator, there's still restaurants that are open and they're sitting people outside. And so I'm walking and I see a TV and I see it's a football game and I immediately turn my head because the Giants are on. So the Eagles are a bye week. So, you won't have to deal with hooligans running amok, trying to ruin my birthday. But you also have to worry about, like, I do want to actually not have the Giants Washington game spoiled for me. So I'm avoiding TVs. And of course, we go to a golf simulator where there are TVs everywhere and they're all playing NFL games. And, even walking to the golf simulator, it's like there was a restaurant outside, there was a TV playing, and there's TVs outside everywhere, and they're all playing games. And it's just like, of course, people want to see the Giants lose or Washington lose. Either way, Eagles fans win. And so I'm like avoiding that TV and avoiding that TV. We get to the golf simulator and I'm like, I got blinders on, just trying to focus on what's ahead. We get to the golf simulator and order a bucket of White Claws, mixed variety pack, no big deal. And we just have at it and we hack and we hack and we hack. And we're doing just fine on the driving range. Like we're just trying to practice. We're not trying to beat each other. We're not competitive when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like we're not going to play 9. We're not going to play 18 holes. We're not looking to do a virtual course. Like we're just looking to get some rage and stress out of the body and get some physical activity and while day drinking. That was my number one objective for my birthday. When my wife was like, what do you want to do? When she asked me for like the 10th time, I was like, I want to day drink, but I want to be active. Day drink, activity. I want an excuse to day drink, and that would mean physical activity, games, competitive, like scoring, that kind of thing. So like, all right. So golf simulator. The lady helping us came over 2 or 3 times and was like, so do you want to do a course? Do you want to do a course? Do you want to do a course? And we're thinking, not really, no. No, have you seen us swing a club? There was a stretch where Cassie hit the tee and not the ball 10 times in a row. 10 times in a row. And I was not much better. There was a stretch where I mean, there was like we had a golf simulator in the estuary, which was nice, but it wasn't as sophisticated as this one. This one had like a camera above you. And so when you select if you're right-handed or left-handed, that camera activates. And after you swing, there's like a slow motion kind of animated stop motion photography of your swing your club as it hits the ball. And there's a still shot of the actual impact. I'm not lying when I said, if I swung that club 100 times, 99 times I hit it on the inside heel portion of the club. I did not hit it on the actual sweet spot of the club, the middle of the club, the meat of the club once. And we were like Googling, like, okay. I started to Google it. I was like, all right, this is 300 yards, this driving range. My first swing, I quote unquote crush it 221 yards, which for me is huge because even I can't, and it was straight, which I can never hit it straight. And no matter how hard I swing, I cannot hit it. When I was at the golf simulator in estuary, I was like averaging 170, 160 something with a fucking driver, which is mind boggling. So I was like, whoa, I haven't picked up a club in a year, over a year, 2 years. And I managed to clock it right down the fairway, 221 yards. Now, I know for a guy my size, 6', 238, that's like bullshit. Like, that's like, how weak can you be, right? That's the macho way to respond. And so I thought, oh, wow, this golf thing, why make it so complicated? And then I wasn't able to get back to that level for the rest of the day until like the last 2 hours later, the last round of swings, I finally hit one 231 yards. And of course, my wife was in the bathroom, so she didn't believe me. But I Googled it. It was like, what does my club speed have to be to hit the ball 300 yards? And it's like a minimum of 108 miles per hour. I was like, all right, I'm not near that. I'm about 10 miles per hour off of that. So what I'm swinging at, what can I hit? And it said 250. You should be able to hit 250 yards, with the club speed that I have, which is, 95 plus 99, in that range. It's usually 90 to 99 in that range is my club speed. And yet I'm hitting the ball 150, 160, 170. And you just look, and that camera was so helpful because you look and it's like, yep, heel, heel, heel. Every single swing off the heel inside of the club. And if I just connected on the sweet spot once, it's 250. Shit. So, and then, when Cass is struggling and like hitting the tee 10 times in a row, I'm standing there going, now, do I give her pointers? Like, do I even have the right to give her pointers? Because I've been sucking shit this whole time as well. It's like, why would I be I don't want to mansplain, and I also don't want to like give her pointers and try to correct her when I don't know jack shit either. So then eventually she was like, you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I was like, oh, okay. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And of course, a bunch of it, worked a little bit. And then she was able to, I think her furthest was about 90 yards, which isn't half bad considering her club speed was like, I think 50 miles per hour. So I don't know. Of course, she secretly took a video of me and posted it on Instagram. And one of my best friends from back in Rhode Island just wrote, yeah, it's a baseball swing. It's like, yeah, it's hard to break. I play baseball for so long. I play baseball from age out the womb, in the womb, to 20, I stopped playing loosely stopped playing in 28, 29, I think. So it's hard to shake. But then I played ball with the kid in high school who plays golf now, and he has the sweetest goddamn swing. It's like, how did you break yourself? Huh? We did not finish the second bucket of White Claws. And I say that because we go to the front desk to pay, and she's like, you know what? I saw that you didn't finish your second bucket, so I'm not going to charge you for it. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, we were on a driving range. Maybe they charge you by the bucket of balls, even though you only use one ball. You don't have a bucket of balls. But when you go to a driving range, you get a bucket of balls. So in my head, I'm thinking, do they count the number of balls you hit? And if you hit like 50 balls, that's one bucket. You know what I'm saying? So because maybe we didn't hit enough balls to constitute a second bucket, like we didn't finish the second bucket, and so she's not going to charge us for it. Meanwhile, it's like I have 4 White Claws hidden in my quarter zip to smuggle out of the golf simulator because I wasn't sure if we were allowed to take White Claws or drinks out unopened out of the golf simulator. So she was referring to the second bucket of White Claws. So she didn't charge us for the second bucket of White Claws. There, confession time. You think that we're being elitist, that we're 1%? Would an elitist 1%er do that? We are blue collar white trash through and through. We are Philly, not Philly born and bred, but we're salt of the earth, Philly adjacent. So we didn't get charged for it. But, I mean, they get, I mean, I think it's like, it's not cheap to go to this place. Hell of a time. I love it personally. It was a great time. And I highly recommend it. 5 Iron Golf on, there's only a couple blocks from the hotel. So we go back to the hotel room, freshen up, and then we go to dinner Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What a place this is. Whew. Can't recommend it highly enough. We got a prefix menu, 3 courses and a dessert, so 4 courses, $75 per person. What? Of course, the cocktails, they make stiff cocktails, good cocktails, but those are like 15 a pop, 13, 15 a pop, which they're delicious, and you don't go through them very quickly, but they do hit you pretty good, and you want more. It's not like you get hit and you're like, tap out, uncle. Nope, you just want more. First course, let's get into it. And it's not a pretentious place either. It's a very casual vibe, but still nice. The waiters are in like button downs with ties and smocks and whatnot, but it's just doesn't feel very hoity-toity. It doesn't feel like you got to be wearing your monocle and your top hat to dine there. You know what I'm saying? So first course, fluke crudo. I don't think I've ever had fluke in my entire life. I wasn't a big seafood fish type of guy for a very long time, but I'm thinking I might get into it after this little rendezvous. Fluke crudo. I don't think I've had fluke or crudo, and I had it in one dish. And a chicken liver mousse. The funny thing about the fluke crudo is there's like a beef tartare on the menu for the first course. And my wife is like, oh, I'm not down with raw meat. And I'm like, okay. We ordered the fluke crudo, not knowing that it was raw. So that came to the table raw. And she's like, well, I guess I do like sushi. And then chicken liver mousse. And I know that sounds non-appetizing. You're not watering out of your mouth hole over that. But I've had chicken liver before, chicken liver pate, I think, at that Romanian joint. I want to say Lower East Side. It's definitely Lower Manhattan. I want to say it's Lower East Side, yeah. And I think it's called Sammy's, Romanian place. It's kind of like hole in the wall, hole in the ground, dive bar looking type place. You have to go basement restaurant, and I've been there twice now. Once for, I think it was an engagement party, and then another time for, I guess, an engagement party. Or it may have been a birthday party and an engagement party, but they get after it there. They serve like these huge glass jugs of vodka, and then has some very interesting dishes that are also good, but one of which is the chicken liver pate, which I remember the first time I went there and there was like, oh, it's chicken liver pate. I was like, okay, I don't want to, I'm very new to this group and this crowd, and I don't want to offend anyone. So I'm just going to dive right in, see what we can do. And ended up loving it. So chicken liver mousse was like a no-brainer for me. And it was even better than the chicken liver pate at Sammy's. So that's a big thumbs up from me. Second course. Here's something else that I've never had in my fucking life. I really got to get out there and I'm more than halfway through life. Over the hill now. And I really gotta cross some things off the list. The bucket list is very uncrossed right now. So Tennessee hot sweetbread or Tennessee sweetbread, I think it is. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know if I want to fill up on bread. And I don't know if I want sweetbread as a second course. That sounds like a dessert. You know what I mean? Like, I need that to be my dessert. I don't want to have sweetbread as a second course leading up to something else that will be the main event. Turns out, Neil, you don't know jack shit. Because Tennessee sweetbread or Tennessee hot sweetbread, one of the two, is pork on top of soap bread. or soft bread. I think it might have been soap bread, which again, doesn't sound like, I don't think many people are drooling over soap bread. I don't want to eat soap, hand or face. But it was fantastic. It was so good. My wife has apparently had it before. I have never had it, and I can say that pork. You would if no one told you that was pork, you wouldn't know it was pork. It was like bread, pretty much. So good. And then I went with they had specials, so I decided to deviate a little bit from the menu and order the special. It was aged lobster, which again, if you say, "Hey, you want some aged lobster?" Most people will be like, "I'm gonna press the skip button on this one. Let's fast track past that." Aged lobster in a cabbage wrap with some other lettuce thing going on, but it was just like sushi. It just looked like sushi. It looked like little sushi roll, hand roll, and the lettuce or whatever that came with it tasted exactly like and this is where it gets. This is where our like blue collar white trash side of us comes out. Their middle class, lower middle class comes out, because it's like with the Tennessee sweetbread, we were like, we would taste everything we tasted. We compared to like a fast food meal. It's like the furthest thing from fast food meals. People toiling in the back, sweating, bleeding for these dishes, and we're like, this tastes like a McGriddle. It's like, oh boy, good thing we're not food critics, but everything was so good. It's the best restaurant I've ever eaten at. One of the best. I don't know. Mr. B's in New Orleans was tough to top, but I was also like brown out central when we went there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go back and be less browned. But the Tennessee sweetbread was kind of like almost like a McGriddle meets French toast type of thing. So good. And then the cabbage or whatever kind of lettuce mixture they had on as the side for the aged lobster tasted like what you would find on a Big Mac. So that's what we're dealing with here. But like better, like what you would think they taste like based on the commercial. And then you actually watch the commercial and then you actually get the food and you're like, this does not look like it. It does not taste like it looked in the commercial. Third course, New York strip with I forget what kind of sauce they got going there, but it was so goddamn tender. Just like the pork was just so soft and tender that you would not think it's meat. We didn't think it was meat. It was like, what is this? So that was delicious. And then I deviated from the menu again, went with the daily special and got the bass with the skin on. The crispy, flaky skin on the bass. So good. And I've never had bass in my life. So I've never had fluke in my life. Had that. Never had bass in my life. Had that. Am I a fish guy now? Is that what's happening? I don't know. And then for dessert, I ordered the chocolate mocha mousse, I think. I'm a big I just love mousse. I don't know why. It's just smooth and it's just so smooth. I don't know. And I guess I like the name mousse. I don't know. But I'm just gravitate towards it every time. Mousse. And then the wife had the PB&J ice cream sandwich, which is just like never thought that could be a thing, possibly. It makes sense, but I've never had it. And it was amazing. So, and the cocktails cannot be beat. I got to look up the one cocktail. I'll look up both cocktails right now because I can't describe them to you. I don't even remember what the ingredients were. Let's pull up the menu because this shit was just insane. Yeah, I'll have some wine. All right, here's a prefix menu. So Fluke Crudo came with a chili jam and coconut. Didn't even realize there was coconut in that mix. Chicken liver mousse. Again, the fig compote. We're big fig compote people. And then date molasses. I didn't even realize that was in the dish. But something about figs and dates, they get me going. And mustard. Second course, let's take a look down here. I almost opted for the octopus because I'm starting to come around on octopus. Tennessee hot sweet bread. Spoon bread. You know, Neil, you're an idiot. So it's not soap bread. It's spoon bread with maple syrup. But no mention of pork, by the way. You're just supposed to know sweet bread is pork. Okay. New York strip came with smoked potato puree and onion jus. So good. And the market fish was the bass. So good. But the dessert. Oh, mocha passion fruit mousse. Chocolate cake and coffee foam. That's what I had. Sounds a lot better when it's when you get it right and you're reading right off the menu as opposed to trying to remember from memory. And then the PB&J ice cream sandwich. But let's get to those cocks. Those stiff cocks. Where are they? Is it here? There it is. All right. So I was looking at the control state. That's the first one on the menu. Vodka, lime, grapefruit, honey, savory bitters. And I'm like, that seems like standard fare for me. It's like the wife got Velveteen Sour, which I was very impressed with because it's got scotch, mezcal, lemon, fig, and chocolate bitters. I did not think she had it in her, but she did. I went with the Assassin's Handbook. Cognac, Jamaican rum, Averna, no clue what that is, mulled wine shrub, okay, and habanero. It had a little bit of sweet, had a little bit of spicy. It really kicked my ass. So for the second one, I decided to go with this drink called Bad Things. Now, didn't recognize a damn thing in this fucking, in the ingredients. There's two words that I recognize out of all the ingredients in this. And so I was tempted. First ingredient, Becherovka. Sounds like maybe it's a vodka. Oloroso sherry. I know what sherry is. Don't know what Oloroso is. Rhubarb liqueur. So I'm like, I kind of have a general sense of what that is. Genevieve. Kind of sounds like Genevieve, the Geneva Convention. And then Bonal. Or Bonal, which just sounds like, I don't know, maybe they just, whale penis. I don't know. So that's what I went with. But like, check out these other names. This is why I love this place. The names of these drinks. I wanted all of them. Control State, Velveteen Sour, Assassin's Handbook, Quasi Mojito. End of the line. Bad Things was what I got. And then Emperor's New Laundromat. Okay. And $413 million baby. I love stupid drink names. I love silly drink names. And then eventually I worked my way through Assassin's Handbook and Bad Things. And I said, he came by, I was like, Nightcap, can I get you one more? And I was like, dealer's choice, He was like, whoa, like, what do you like? And I was like, well, you've seen what I've ordered. Now do with that what you will. And of course, it took them like half an hour to figure it out. And then by the time we brought it, we were running late to we went axe throwing afterwards, which is always good when you're drunk. And by the time it got to me, I was like, I had to pound it. I had to chug it. It was that we were just pressed for time. And so I can only imagine like what that waiter said to the bartender who made that special custom drink for me after what I did. Like, hey, so the bartender's like, hey, Tom, like, did the guy like it? And he's like, well, I guess he chugged it and left. So you spent half an hour making it and he spent 30 seconds drinking it. Don't think he enjoyed it. There's no way he could have enjoyed it. It just went straight down his hole into his stomach. So we went axe throwing at Kick Axe. It was only like an hour long. We were the only people there. And of course, like one of the first things my wife says to the guy at the register at the front desk is like, I'm so happy we made it on time. And we were worried we were going to be late. We chugged our drinks. And so the guy hears that and goes, just so you're aware, if you are visibly intoxicated, you are not allowed to throw axes. Like, hey. Like, wow, even Philly has its limits, huh? So we go back. We're the only people in this place, and we have to deal with an axe expert who tells us all the rules. And I'm like, for sure, my wife is going to break one of those rules. I know it. It's just, it's definitely going to happen. Of course she did, but wasn't bad enough to get us banished. But it's like the guy at the front desk and the expert were just like watching us the entire time. I was like, can you guys just go like do inventory or take stock or something? Like, can we just be alone throwing axes so we can shoot the shit? And my wife, I was like, I would be surprised if either one of us gets one in the board, because I've seen videos of people axe throwing and it just looks difficult. Just looks like, you know, the odds of getting it down pat in 1 hour seem remote. My wife, first 10 throws, it nailed it every time in the board. My first 10 throws, clank, 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 brick, 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 clank, clank, clank. And the guy's like, do you play like baseball or basketball? I was like, yeah, I played baseball. It's like, when I played baseball, I didn't think it would fuck up my golf swing, and I didn't think it would fuck up my axe throwing, but apparently baseball fucks up everything I do. So he's like, yeah, you might want to like stand a little bit closer to the board because you're throwing it way too hard and strong. You know, you need to like lighten up a little bit there. Lou Ferrigno. So I did, and then I was definitely kick ass at kick axe. I was crushing it, and then Cass just like completely fell apart. It was like could not get it in, couldn't get in the board from that point on after such a hot start. And so then eventually, like I was giving her pointers, and the expert was giving pointers. Front desk guy was giving her pointers. Front desk guy was like, what kind of music do you want to listen to? And my wife's like, 80s rock. He puts on 80s rock. And she's like, no, you got to put on like, you know, this. And he's like, that's not 80s rock. She's like, I need vodka. And they both looked at each other like, should we give this bitch vodka? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I still had a great time, an amazing time. We have some pictures that I probably need to upload pretty soon. Go back to the hotel. Get changed into my wife stopped it because she failed to tell me there was a pool at this place, the hotel. And so I didn't pack a bathing suit. So she went into a CVS, a Walmart, something like that. CVS, some kind of convenience store on our way back to the hotel from the golf simulator, and bought me a pair of medium swim trunks. Medium. I have not been a medium since has to be 8th grade, maybe 8th grade. Yeah, I've not been a medium in a long ass time, and so now I got to squeeze my fat sausage body into a medium-sized pair of trunks, and I did. I don't know how. I didn't have to use the tie. You know, I didn't have to tie the tie. And then we went in the infinity pool on the 57th floor, overlooking Philly. It was majestic. Drinking some White Claws, all tuckered out from golfing and axe throwing and stiff cocks. Drinking some White Claws and just in the infinity pool, overlooking the city with all the lights flickering and whatnot. And like the two buildings next to us, I can't remember their names, but they look awesome, all lit up in different colors. It was perfect. We went back to the room, tried to watch an episode of Succession, drank some Camus, which my mom gave us, which is something that we both enjoy but can rarely partake in. And yeah, we went all out. If you want to Google the price of Camus, go ahead and do it. Okay? Do it. But, you know, I'm telling you, you need to enjoy Camus once in your life. You won't regret it. And we passed out, and we did not wake up until fucking noon. So we passed out at like 12:30 in the morning. We didn't wake up till noon. That's like what happens when you don't have a kid. like, as your alarm clock. So woke up at noon. My massage was scheduled for 12:15. Yes, a massage. Go to the spa, and we're in our robes. We the robes that come in the room and our slippers that come in the room. We are in those walking through the hotel, and people are just like gawking, like, what? Because apparently that's not what you should do at a fancy luxury hotel. But again, blue collar, white trash, lower middle class, no big deal. So, my wife says, oh, it's his birthday. And of course, I get a happy birthday from the front desk. And then I don't know how they communicated this to everyone else, but everyone else on the walk there was saying happy birthday. It was just like, I've gotten more happy birthdays in person in this one walk from the front desk to the massage room than I have in like 5 years, 10 years. Than I did at my 30th birthday party. So I opted for the aromatherapy, anti-stress. So I think it was lavender mixed with something else, and I upgraded. I got the add-on yoga bomb. Felt so good, so she's explaining to me. She's like, okay, this, and this, and she's like, we have over 75,000 or million crystals. And this is where she lost me. I was like, everything else you're saying sounds like it will have an effect on me. This crystal thing that you're talking about, I don't get it. And I know I've seen and heard about people saying the power of crystals, and they wear crystals around their neck. They surround themselves with crystals in their house or in a specific room, and these crystals have powers. And for me, that's beyond what I consider real. That's fiction to me. That seems like something that's mystical and made up. Crystals, I'm out on crystals because I don't get it. I've never heard the benefits. No one's explained it to me correctly. Whereas with the massage, I can feel the effects because you're touching me, and it makes sense. The lavender or whatever aromatherapy is opening up the airways, and I definitely feel more relaxed. I buy into that. The crystals, I'm like, I don't get it. Someone explain it to me. So the difference here with this, the unique challenge with this massage is you have to wear a face mask. So you lying face down, of course, in the massage chair, parlor, whatever, you have the padded little headrest where you put your little face in. You can breathe through that little hole and it's all good. Not when you're wearing a face mask. When you're wearing a face mask, you're now essentially being like the equivalent of waterboarded. You're being like paperboarded, fabric boarded, cotton boarded. Like I literally have to like try and like pull the mask a little bit away from my mouth and nose so that I can still get some kind of oxygen intake. And there are times where, and this is a little woman giving me a massage, little woman, probably the size of my wife. But god damn, the strength and the power in this woman's hands, absurd. I want to know how they get to that point. Just like constantly like using that like little grip thing like nonstop. Because like, I mean, an hour straight of giving a massage, and that's probably not her only massage. It was probably like her third massage of the day. Absurd. But when she digs the elbow in along the spine and pushes that up towards the neck, like couldn't breathe. It was just hoping for the best. Like, okay, eventually she's going to stop that and I can get back to almost suffocating. And part of me wanted to just pull down the mask a little bit so I could breathe through my nose. But then I'm like, am I breaking protocol here? Is this like how I get it? That was a struggle. And I don't even think you need to wear the face mask. And I don't think my wife did. So it's like I just, this is supposed to be a relaxing time, anti-stress. You're not supposed to get worked up or panic or freak out. And I'm sitting there like supposed to be all relaxed. And I feel like I'm suffocating myself with this face mask. So anyone who thinks like, oh, wearing a face mask, I can't breathe, like get a massage while wearing a face mask and then go back to not getting a massage while wearing the face mask. You'll see the difference. So the hour long, very nice. Maybe this is the crystal. No, that's not the crystal. Where she hits this thing, like it just goes boom. And I assume the vibrations are supposed to knock off all the evil impurities and toxins off my body. I don't know. Or it's like a nice little subtle awakening alarm clock. Then they take you to a relaxation room because like most spas, it's like, hey, thanks for coming, pay, and now get the fuck out. GTFO. This one was like, all right, thank you so much. Here's a relaxation room where it's like you can recover. And they have these beautiful, the most comfortable lounge chairs I've ever sat in my life. I was like, I said to my wife, Cass, like, we have to get these. We have, first of all, wherever we go next, we need to dedicate a room to be our relaxation room. And everything in that room, fuck it, I'll even throw in the crystals. We just need aromatherapy. We need everything that I just experienced in that massage in that room, plus this chair, because it was contoured for your body. Like, you know, you have all these furniture manufacturers, interior designers that they come up with these fucking things that I guess look nice or are supposed to be nice or brand name, whatever. You sit in them and you get cramps. You get all twisted and knotty. This thing I could have laid in forever. I was waiting for them to come over and be like, Mr. Lynch, yes, hello, how are you doing? Yes, you need to get the fuck out of here. Because I was there from 1:30 to like 3 o'clock in that relaxation room. I was there longer than the massage took. It was so amazing. And of course they had a little birthday balloon. They had the birthday like chocolates. They had champagne glass, a huge glass of champagne, and a heated neck wrap. And you're just laying there and you're looking over the city of Philadelphia. You're looking down on birds flying. Like you look down, like there are birds flying beneath us, and then like planes are eye level. It was ridiculous. Like, what did I add it? You know, how the fuck do you top that? I've peaked. That's me peaking. So it was phenomenal. And then we went to the gift shop at the spa. My wife went a little hog wild, She's like, don't you want a souvenir? I was like, I don't know. And she's like, what, don't you need, like, maybe I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, those swim trunks are nice. They have starfish on them. She's like, all right, yeah, let's get that. So I was like, okay. And then she ends up looking, they don't tell us the price. So she ends up, they ring us up for everything. And then you could see like they're kind of, the two women behind the desk are kind of looking at each other like, this is, well, are you seeing this? Like raising their eyebrows and like whispering, like quiet whispers, hushed whispers. And eventually they threw in like two like complimentary gift bags. And we're like, oh, that's pretty nice of them. They didn't have to do that. And then we get the receipt and we go to the room. On the way to the room, we're like, oh my God. The swimsuit, $300 for a swimsuit. How do you feel good about yourself at night? How do you sleep? I know you sleep on a bed of money. I get it. That helps you fall asleep. But still, your conscience has to eat away at you for charging $300 for a fucking swimsuit. There has to be a secret compartment. There has to be like a massaging element to it. There has to be like it auto dries. It's got to be like those shoes, the Nikes in Back to the Future 2, where they get wet and it was just like, or is it the jacket? Maybe it's the jacket that Marty McFly wears in Back to the Future 2, where it gets wet and all of a sudden it's like, and it just dries in like 5 to 10 seconds. That is what that bathing suit has to be $300 fucking dollars. And now I'm just like, well, okay. I now have to wear that bathing suit like every summer and every time I go swimming until the day I die. And I have to at least live healthy enough that I get past the expected age, life expectancy of 70 in the 70s. I have to get it into the 90s or 100s to make that purchase worth it. $300 goddamn bathing suit. Meanwhile, we picked up a bathing suit at fucking CVS for like $10. That's a medium. life and times, you know, the highs and lows, the rich and the poor. Whew. So now we have to check out. We check out, we go downstairs, we get the car, and we are going to drive to our friend's place that lives like less than 3 miles away, 2 miles away in the city. And I pull out of the hotel. The hotel has like a little U driveway that most hotels have, so you can pull in. Valley can do it. So pull out, I make a right. I make a right, and I'm not seeing like a light anywhere. I'm like looking up, and I'm like, I'm not seeing a stoplight. And I look across from me, and there are all kinds of cars facing my way. There are no cars facing the other way from me, not facing the same way. And so then I was like, because I looked at the GPS, Waze, you let me down. I'm blaming Waze 100%. And I know, don't blame the tool, blame the user. I get it. Nope. This is all Waze's fault. Told me to go out, to the right, and to the right. So I went out, I made a right, and I see all these cars looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? I look to my right, and I'm like, am I supposed to make a right here? Can I make a right here? And then I look further to my right, and I see the valet screaming and sprinting and waving his arms crazily. He is in a full-blown panic. And so I was like, I don't think I'm going the right way. And eventually the cars across from me are honking because the light that I cannot see that has its back to me has turned green. And now they're trying to go the right way down the street. And so they're honking and they're now pointing like, get the fuck out of the way. So I make a left. That's how relaxed we were. That's how relaxed I was. We went down the wrong way on one street, and we're about to make a right onto another one way the wrong way. And I didn't care. Go to our friend's place, and we ordered all the Mexican food in Philadelphia and balled out. Had ourselves a time. One of the more fantastic things about and then we went and picked up Brie from my mother-in-law's, and we're so relaxed, and we're like, I was like, Bob, that was perfect. Thank you so much. That was the best birthday ever. I couldn't be more relaxed. Like, it feels so like all the worries are gone. And we pick up Brie from my mother-in-law's, and that little hula screamed her tiny little tits off the entire ride home. The entire ride home screamed. And all the relaxation that we had felt was gone. And the stress was that all the stress that we got rid of went back up to that level and then doubled, possibly tripled. Yeah. And then, of course, later on that week, so the Tuesday of this week, so Monday we had off, we're driving back. Tuesday, get into work. And, a lot of big news happened. If you follow Warner Media, just Google Warner Media layoffs. Just throw that out there. Not saying anything related to it, but so big news Tuesday. And then the daycare is like, on Monday or maybe Friday, we received like an urgent notice like, hey, just want to give you, to be transparent and honest, we just want to let you know we've had a positive COVID test. Okay. That person is quarantining. She's not going to be at school. We did a thorough cleansing today. We're going to do it over the weekend. We're going to do it Monday. We're going to take every precaution, blah, blah. So I'm like, that's fine. Tuesday comes around. It's like, we get multiple urgent messages like, check your email now. And we're like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? Active shooter at a daycare. Checking, it's like, we've had a second positive test. That person lives with 2 other people that work here. So we are shutting down the school today and for the rest of the week. And it's like, oh my God. So now we're back to the good old COVID days where both parents are working full time and they have to take care of a little toddler. So, yeah, we're trying to deal with that. right now. And it's like her staying home with us is the complete opposite of what she does at school. Like at school, they have all these activities. They're learning about science. They're learning about art. They're learning about music. They're learning Spanish. They're recess and all these different things that they're doing, singing and dancing and playing. And here it's just like, yeah, Paw Patrol. Just throw on some Paw Patrol. And I don't know. That's all we can do. And they just announced that the school is now closed down for next week. So that should be fun. One of the beautiful things about Brielle right now, though, is there are two things that she is saying that are just precious and that make me, they make other concerns, worries, and all my dislikes of what she does melt away. The first is the way that she says yes. She says yes, yes, yes. Second is, so that's like, oh, okay, Neal, great, awesome. Second one, much better. She says okay like this. Okay. Like, okay, at first I thought, okay. That sounds like a little bit like Little John. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. But then I got to thinking, and it's like, no, that she's saying it like 2 Chainz. Like, 2 Chainz, okay. It's the funniest thing in the world. And then over the weekend, we just, I don't know how this came out, but we started saying like, yeah. And when I say, yeah, there's only one thing that should be running through your head. So hopefully you get at me, you contact me, and you let me know what you think of when I say, yeah. So that's life. What a friggin' roller coaster life has been the past week or two. The timing of everything is just absurd. TV-wise, I finally finished up The Umbrella Academy Season 2. That's the finale, called The End of Something. And you want to talk about timing? I had just finished Season 2, and it was just announced that there will be a Season 3, which I'm very happy about. Season 2, amazing way to end the season. And they set up Season 3 pretty nicely. Season 2 was primarily they're back in the 60s. Some of them are trying to prevent the assassination of JFK. There was some talk early on in the season about how you don't, like, they shouldn't be there, and you need to lay low. You should try to impact, do as little as possible to disrupt the timeline. And they were, and a lot of them were like, you're talking about the butterfly effect, and like the butterfly effect is bullshit. Like whatever we do here is not going to drastically affect the timeline moving forward. When we go back to 2019, it's going to be fine, And of course, one of them like ends up getting married. Another one like starts a cult. The other one, another one gets involved with someone at the insane asylum, and then one of them is like a bare knuckle boxer that gets involved with a mafioso, and like all that. They didn't think that any of that would impact the future when they go back to the future. So I don't want to spoil anything, but whoo, baby. So I'm very excited for Season 3. I'm like alternating between wine and White Claw. A little White Claw wine. Seltzer wine? Why not? It's Thursday and tomorrow's the Friday the 13th. So, Friday the 13th in 2020. Give us your best shot. We've seen every day has been Friday the 13th of 2020. So, whatever. Also started The Mandalorian. I forgot to put this down, but Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 and Episode 2. This is like, they've hit a gold mine with The Mandalorian. I fucking love that show. And I'm sometimes I'm even more entranced by the illustrations and the panels at the end when they're rolling the credits than I am the actual show. I'm like, oh my God. Like, did they do that first as like a storyboard, and then they go and you're like, you look at the drawing and you're like, wow, that scene didn't live up to that drawing, because that drawing is sick, so good. But yeah, I know a lot of people are very critical of what was going down in episode 2, where Baby Yo was just straight up slurping and sucking back eggs of the last eggs, kind of like Last of the Mohicans, of the frog people, a frog lady. Like Mando had to transport this frog lady to save her race of frog people to reconnect with her husband across the galaxy. And Baby Yo was just sucking those back, man. And a lot of people are calling it genocide. It's just like, I mean, granted, I was not happy about it either. I was like, this is fucked up. Like, he's gonna eat them all, and then this, like, the whole entire race is donezo. But I feel like there might be more coming out to that. Someone was saying that he was actually eating them to protect them further. Like, he's storing them inside his body, because you don't see him chew it. You just see him go, and then it must go down into his stomach. And so maybe he is protecting it, because the thing that they put the case that they, or the jar or whatever that they put the eggs in, it doesn't look too, looks like it could break very easily. It's fragile, as they say in Italian. So, but very excited for episode 3. I will say though, there's a part of me that's like, it's almost like it feels like a sitcom at times, because it's like he keeps getting involved in these like random situations that seem so like, that are derailing him from his journey to get this Baby Yo back to wherever. Like, the first episode was Timothy Oliphant and from Justified and Go, and I think, what was that, Hitman 49 or something like that, based on a video game. Who Timothy Oliphant did a great job again, but it's like, why are you fucking with, what is going on here? Like, why are you in this village? Like, you got sent to this village based on a tip. You get there, Timothy Oliphant's wearing the armor. It kind of looks like Boba Fett. I guess he's trying to track down Boba Fett or something like that, another Mandalorian. And they get into a dick measuring contest, and all of a sudden, like, a monster flies through, and they're like, we got to take down this monster. You take down this monster for me, you can have the armor. Just seems a little too convenient. I don't know. Maybe I'm being like way too nitpicky, but it's just like, you get the armor if you defeat this monster. Seems a little too convenient. And it's like, dude, you had this armor. Like, are you okay with not having this armor? Because you needed that armor in order to defeat this infiltration, invasion, that kind of, what is that word that I'm looking for? When you invade and then you like, it's like you're squatting. I don't know. But he needed it, and now it's like he's completely cool with parting with it to get rid of this monster. I don't know. Still a great episode. I mean, the special effects are on point, and it was good to see like I like how that he was able to speak. He's able to speak. The Mandalorian is able to speak like Jawa, I think it was like or the Sand people language, but like he can't speak frog. It's like, come on, bro. Can't speak frog. In episode 2. But yeah, very excited about that. Also, like, the frog lady can just hop. Also, Google Translate, like, hello. Why can't? Nah, I don't know. So that's TV. Movies. I saw this Variety article. It's a list of Leo DiCaprio's best performances. They had his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as one. Spoiler, sorry to ruin it. Is that his best performance? The Revenant, which he won an Oscar for, was like number 5. And I think he won for The Revenant because he had so many good performances before that and kept getting one-upped or snubbed. So it was kind of like, not out of pity, because I don't think you need to pity Leo DiCaprio, but I think Departed was 2 and Wolf of Wall Street was 3, which I agree with. I mean, Leo should have won for Departed, to be honest. It's like insane that he didn't. But I was like, fucking, I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, go back to the episode I recorded like last August or something like that, August 2019, for my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I liked him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but to say that it was number 1, tough. But I guess a lot of people are reading into it a lot more because it's like it is Leo and he plays an actor who is experiencing something akin to what Leo has experienced. So it's a little more personal to him. I don't know. Number 10 was Revolutionary Road, which I've had in my Netflix queue for fucking ever. And I don't know why. I can't bring myself to watch it. Shutter Island at 9, which I thought that was an amazing performance. What's Eating Gilbert Grape at 8. I remember watching that when I was a kid and not being like crazy. I don't know. Maybe if I watched it again as an adult, I'd be more impressed. Probably. Catch Me If You Can at 7, which is bananas. That should be higher. Revenant at 6. My apologies. This Boy's Life at 5. Never even heard of it. Romeo and Juliet at 4. Yeah, for the ladies, why not? And then Wolf of Wall Street 3. Departed 2. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 1. I mean, if I were to do the list, I don't feel like there are a lot of other performances that speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Let me look at his filmography real quick because I feel like, oh shit, he was born November 11th. That's probably why they did that. It came out yesterday. Yeah, that makes sense. Scorpio, yo, what up? Oh shit. He was in Critters 3? Fuck if I know. Let's take a look here. Wolf of Wall Street, Great Gatsby, Django Unchained. I mean, like, I fucking love that performance in Django Unchained. How you don't put that in his top 10 is beyond me. This Boy's Life. I mean, me and my buddy constantly are quoting that his turn in, was it J. Edgar? No, it was not J. Edgar. My apologies. I've not seen J. Edgar. I should, though. Inception. I mean, Inception was good, but I think that was more the concept than it was his character. Shutter Island, I agree with. Revolutionary Road, I got to check it out. Blood Diamond. The Aviator is the one that we always quote about Howard Hughes. Show me the blueprints. Show me the blueprints. Whenever we're like, whenever we feel ourselves like getting a little off tilt, getting a little cray, we just quote The Aviator. Show me the blueprints. Show me the blueprints. I love The Beach, but I guess he wasn't a great performer in that. It was just like him being him, you know? Man in the Iron Mask. I never saw that. Titanic. Quick and the Dead. Basketball Diaries. That's crazy that Basketball Diaries was not on that list. That seems a little nuts to me. And you just completely don't include Critters 3, where he took his turn as Josh. Yeah, so I'd say like This Boy's Life, fuck off. Like, who the hell's seen that and who knows that performance? I would put Basketball Diaries on there. I need to go on a Leo DiCaprio binge. Quick and the Dead, for sure. I'd throw Man in the Iron Mask in there to watch. Gangs of New York, dude. I don't know. I disagree with a lot of this, but who am I? I'm definitely not writing for Variety.com. I also watched, as I mentioned, Borat, subsequent movie film. Actually came out October 23rd. Hour and 35 minutes, rated R, adventure comedy. The actual title of the film is Borat, subsequent movie film, delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan. Sacha Baron Cohen returns as Borat. See, now I'm in my head now about how to say it. Borat. Oh my God, I'm stuck in that same loop. But so he's good as always. But I think the main takeaway here is that because of the popularity and success of the first film, that he couldn't really pull off the same kind of film this go around because everyone has seen the first film, so they know who he is and they know him as Borat. So they had to put him in different situations, like as Borat, but like dressed up as someone else. So he's still somewhat talking with that accent, but in like with a completely different look. Which, the makeup and effects was special effects were still good. They still found people who have not seen the first film, which I know is kind of hard to believe, but there's still people out there who have not seen the first film, and he still did a magnificent job. Hey, Neil, why do you touch your nose so much? I've gotten that question a lot. And as much as I would love to have a cocaine problem, it's because I do not trim my nose hairs and they get itchy. I guess especially when I drink. So anyone who gets that bothered by me touching my nose and by this big ass, beautiful microphone, get a life. You know what I'm saying? Like, find something else to watch. Find something else to listen to. Really? I'm pouring my heart out here, my soul, everything I got. I'm going to E. And you're like, your microphone's too big. You touch your nose too much. Like, okay, dude. Way to focus on the important stuff. Of course, everyone's hailing so Borat. Basically, the gist is Borat went to jail after the first movie. He was in jail for 14 years. Comes back to his homeland. Finds out he has a daughter who's now, I guess, 15. Yeah. So it's named Tutar, which means daughter. In what language, I forget. But it's played by Maria Bakalova, who's a Bulgarian actress, and this is her American film debut. She was in another film that is Bulgarian, and when she's speaking throughout the film in a foreign language, she's speaking in Bulgarian, and when Sacha Baron Cohen is speaking as Borat, he's speaking in Hebrew, according to IMDb. And so whenever the Kazakh premier is speaking, he's played by a Romanian actor, and he says his lines in Romanian. And I guess the joke there is that American audiences can't notice a difference in the foreign languages. I didn't. You could have said it was fucking gibberish, and I'd have been like, okay. Because Americans are dumb, right? We're fat, lazy, and dumb. That's the joke. That was one of the bigger takeaways, that Maria Bakalova gives an amazing performance, and I completely, wholeheartedly agree. She was amazing. She was awesome. A little tough to buy her as a 15-year-old. A little tough, especially in certain scenes. I mean, the scene where, it's they go to the bakery and there's like a little plastic baby, and she ends up eating the cake with the baby on it, and so she swallows the baby, and then they go to like a church or something with a pastor, and that scene is like pure comedy gold. That's like perfection, where he's like, I want you to take the baby out of her. There's a baby inside her. I put the baby inside her. And wait, so you are his father? So this is your father? Yes. And this is your daughter? Yes. And he's like, it's my fault. I put the baby inside her, and I need you to get it out. You get the baby out of her. So good. The other big scene that people were talking about was the one with Rudy Giuliani, and people making a big deal out of that. And I was like, all right, I know we like to shit on Rudy. And if you have not watched the SNL, like the Weekend Update performance by Kate McKinnon as Rudy Giuliani, so goddamn hilarious. She's like so perfect as Rudy Giuliani. But this is like, obviously, you know, politicians are gonna politic. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna politish. And you could tell that he felt a certain way about her, and maybe he did think that he had a chance with her. Tutar dressed as a reporter, and you know, but this, like, they shot it a certain way to make it look like he was getting a handy or like something like that, and it's so obvious that that was not the case. Like, just use your brain and watch it. But it was clever social media marketing, guerrilla marketing on someone's part, because it was like, here, have this random person like post a picture of Rudy Giuliani laying on his back, like with his hands down his pants, and there's a beautiful woman in the shot with her back to the camera. Boom. Get people talking about it. Oh my God, I can't believe Rudy did that. And it's like more people watch it. So kudos for pulling that off. It worked. But you watch the movie and you're like, oh no, he's obviously they took off whatever he was wearing to record, and then he was tucking in his shirt. Was he tucking in his shirt very weirdly? Yes, 1,000%. But yeah, they made it look like she's like tugging away at his Johnson or his junk there, and it's like, no, she's just taking off his the recording equipment. Mike Pence is also in this as well. What's crazy about this is like they started filming in late 2019 and into the summer of 2020. So they were like, did not shut down production for COVID, and they just went head first into this COVID thing. And the shit that they did during COVID, whew, very interesting. Sacha Baron Cohen sat nearly 5 hours in a toilet stall at the 2020 CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference, until VP Mike Pence was about to appear on stage. He also spent 5 whole days with pro-conservatives Jerry Holloman and Jim Russell without breaking character as Borat. In the midst of COVID. Shit. COVID. The babysitter, professional babysitter, quote unquote, Janice Jones, who gave such a great performance, and it's not a performance, she was being herself. She was paid $3,600 to appear in the movie, but was under the impression that it was a serious documentary and had no idea that Sacha Baron Cohen and Maria Bakalova were playing made-up characters. So this is where it's weird. She later praised the performance of Bakalova and admitted she had her fooled, but then the New York Post reported that she was like pissed off. And it's like, I would be kind of pissed off too, man. You have these people saying it's a serious documentary. You're getting paid $3,600. The movie blows up. You are a major part of that movie blowing up. When you kind of like want more money, I don't know. Like I don't want to say she made the movie, but she was like so awesome in the movie. Yeah, you wonder, like, how can the people who made those swim trunks, $300, live with themselves? How can Sacha Baron Cohen and this production company, the creators, live with themselves, knowing they paid this woman $3,600 to appear in a movie in which she had a major role? I don't know. I feel like they should do more for her, but it's just me. So you had some pretty sage advice too. I mean, the whole sequence where like Maria Bakalova's Tutar is talking about the book that her father gave her about how she can't touch herself because her vagina will eat her, and it will eat her and consume her, like literally pull her into herself. And then Janice Jones trying to explain that she like, yeah, touch myself. And I've never had that happen. It's like, oh, so good. Although Borat was shown putting on his Donald Trump disguise, the part was shot after the 2020 CPAC, as Sacha Baron Cohen actually wore the makeup and costume underneath the Klan robe before interrupting Mike Pence. I tell you, man. The shit, it's just like I would never be able to pull off any of this. I would never have the balls on this guy. The original title of the movie was Borat, Gift of Pornographic Monkey Device Premier Mikhail Pence to make benefit recently diminished nation of Kazakhstan. According to Sacha Baron Cohen, while filming at the rally in Olympia, the militia on site had been antagonizing Black Lives Matters protesters nearby. The group sent home protesters in undercover and were the first to realize that it was Cohen on stage as Country Steve. Word got out to the crowd and they attempted to storm the stage. According to Cohen, one person had even reached for their handgun. Since Cohen hired the security, he was safely able to get off stage with ample time before the crowd stormed the stage. In a clip Cohen shared online, the crowd had even found and were approaching the production vehicle he hid in. Dude, it's like, no thanks. I don't want to even get near that shit. Send me as far away as possible. Another great scene was the one in the synagogue where Sacha Baron Cohen believes that I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know. But that scene in the synagogue was pretty damn good. And the woman, Judith, who was very receptive and warm and kind, she actually died shortly after filming, which really sucks. But Sacha Baron Cohen was like, he felt pretty bad. So he let her know about the joke after filming it. But it was pretty, like, she handled it very well. Like, for what he was doing, for what he was dressed as, for the shit he was saying, like, she handled it very well. I guess once you've been in the Holocaust, you're like, if you're a Holocaust survivor, you're like, you can pretty much handle anything else. It's like 2020 is a walk in the park for a Holocaust survivor. But this is the kicker. Sacha Baron Cohen genuinely felt that he was risking his life making this film, unlike the first Borat film, in which he was famously arrested nearly 100 times during production. Ugh. I mean, after 3 times, I'd be like, do we really need to make this movie? I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Cohen was facing arguably more dangerous situations through the COVID-19 pandemic and various political protests, rallies, and riots. He even said there were 2 separate occasions in which he had to wear a bulletproof vest. Damn. Yeah. Whew. I mean, yeah, he deserves an award for that, I think. And I didn't catch this when I was watching it because I was a couple cocktails deep, but Borat confirms that the Kazakhstan now exports teen boys instead of teen girls. A box shown crammed with boys in tuxedos is addressed to K. Spacey in the U.S. Phew. Oh boy. Which is doubly funny or poetic or fitting because one of the previous scenes when Borat returns and he's like, I'm so sorry that I did not complete the mission. You can, if you want to kill me now, I understand. And then the Kazakh premier is like, no, it's okay. You're forgiven. And Borat's like, what? And he looks around and it's like basically the same exact scene as the final scene in The Usual Suspects, played by Kevin Spacey. So it's like, it's almost like they thought that was a cool scene, but they were like, oh shit, are we like giving props to Kevin Spacey, like a known pedophile? And like, here's how we get back. Here's how we let people know that we like, okay, we paid tribute, but now it's like, here's the, I don't know. Those are 2 closely tied together. So that's Borat. Subsequent movie film. Wow, wee wah. So I'm going to bring that back. Wow, wee wah. Definitely for sure bringing that back. And just like the slingshot bikini thing as a mask, so good. But can you imagine, like, you're in the middle of producing that film and to be able to pivot and also to continue to make the movie while this COVID shit's happening, and then to come away with it with no significant like damage or anything, like I guess extremely fortunate and lucky. So many things could have gone awry there, and they managed to come out of it unscathed. All right, so let's talk Giants. I was not able to watch the game live. I was in Philly for my 40th birthday weekend celebration. Thank God the Eagles had a bye week, because that would have been a brutal if I were there during an Eagles game. Was able to catch it Monday night when we came home on my actual birthday, and was at all costs trying to avoid TV screens wherever we walked, wherever we went in Philadelphia. The games were on everywhere, so it was kind of hard to avoid. And eventually, I tried turning off all notifications, putting everything on mute, just do not disturb all around, and still managed to find out that they won before I got to watch it. And so, and even found out the final score, 23-20. I was like, "Ooh, that is a barn burner." That was close. Close call. It must have been a heated battle throughout. And then I watched the game on Monday night, and I'm like, what? We were up 20-3 at half. How does that work exactly? Like, what? I was almost scared to watch the second half, even though I knew we won by 3. It's like, what colossal, like, huge turn of events happened in the second half that allowed us to escape with the victory, especially when Washington gets the ball and scores, and it makes it 23-20 with like plenty of time to spare in the fourth quarter, knowing how our defense has a tendency to collapse at the end of the first half and the end of the game. So shout out and testament to the Giants defense, maybe turning a corner. I mean, they pulled this same stunt against Washington last time we played them. Came down to the final play, comes down again to the final drive here, but it feels a little bit different. Who knows if Kyle Allen had actually stayed in the game, if things would have turned out differently. Alex Smith, I think, still has a little bit of rust on him, which is justified. I mean, the dude's been out of the game for 2 years or something like that. So a win's a win. That's kind of like the mantra for this year. A win's a win. We'll take wins. They're better than, these like brutal losses. I think we are tied for second most losses by 5 points or less in the league with 4. The Chargers have 5. So that tells you that we're on the precipice. We could be easily looking at 6-3 right now. And if we're 6-3, what are people saying? I know I say that every week, but it's like, it's true. We're in the discussion, and we should be in the discussion. I think a lot of people are feeling confident in going in against the Eagles. They're still the Eagles. They still have our number, as much as I hate to admit it. They do. So if we can win this game and get over this Eagles curse, this Eagles hump that we got going on, it'll be a huge turning point, not just for this season, but for the franchise as a whole. I think you win this game, you can go into the bye with a lot of confidence, prep your ass off for the Bengals, get to 4-7, and then, go from there. But, we need to break the cycle. We need to, Godsmack. That's a throwback right there. Godsmack. That was a 99, 2000. Break the cycle. Hell yeah. Play that in the locker room after every single goddamn baseball practice. So I'm not going to go drive by drive. I don't think anyone needs to see that or know that or do that. You've seen the highlights. You've seen the drives. You've seen everything every which way. So we're going to dive into team stats and individual player stats for the Washington game. As I mentioned, 4 losses of 5 points or less. Each of the last 6 games for the Giants have been 1 possession games. So, for everyone saying we're the Jets, you can't see the same for the Jets. And these are against high quality teams. You look at the schedule that we've played so far. Steelers are a playoff team. Rams could be a playoff team. Bears should be a playoff team. They're all in the hunt. 49ers would probably have been in the playoff hunt had they not been devastated and decimated by injuries. I got to fix the freaking shades right now, dude. I got massive sunlight coming in. Coming in hot. Look at this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. So, almost every team, with the exception of maybe, the NFC East, and, we played the Cowboys when they were as close to, good as they've ever been, considering what's happened since then. But, we've got the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs could be threatening to take the NFC South title, although they just got swept by the Saints. So that could be, they're looking more and more like a wild card. But still, you haven't played a lot of shit teams so far, other than the NFC East. And the NFC East is, is its own thing. I don't even know how to describe the NFC East. A lot of people are calling it a dumpster fire. And I'm like, is it just solely based on records, or is it watching the gameplay? And it's like, yeah, this Washington game was super sloppy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the first half was just like fumble, interception, fumble, turnover, interception, misplays. It just was not hard to watch for me because I'm so accustomed to it. But I can see how an outsider would be like, wow, NFC East football stinks. But that said, we still play tough outside the division as well. So I don't know what it is with the NFC East. It's just like we play up and down to our competition. Jabril Peppers with a huge interception towards the end of the game. Logan Ryan with a huge interception towards the end of the game. 5 takeaways total, 0 turnovers, even though Daniel Jones did fumble twice. Once was out of bounds. The other one was, he's, I guess, closer to midfield, and luckily was able to get back on it. But it's still somewhat of an issue with Daniel. I don't think he's quite over it yet, although he did get blindside hit by a blitzing corner, I think, toward later in the game, second half, and he held onto the ball. That's in the past that he probably might have coughed that up and it would have been a scoop and score. So that's good to see. But 5 takeaways is huge. I mean, Washington's they have such a great pass defense. That front 7 is pretty decent. Especially the front 4, Kerrigan, Sweat, Chase Young. It just seems like, their defense is where it needs to be. Their offense is kind of meh, even though they consistently somehow put up big yards and big yards against us. Our defense is now allowing a lot of explosive plays up and down the field, which is unfortunate, but it's a whole bend, don't break mentality. They've managed to give up yardage, but not points. And I think that's what matters most. It's concerning when you're giving up huge chunks of yardage to Logan Thomas and Cam Sims and all these players that just, don't make headlines usually. Washington outgained us by like 52 yards, passing yards, 365 passing yards, but only 37 rushing yards. The Giants have meanwhile, we rushed for 166. We almost rushed for more yards than we passed for. Giants have rushed for 100 plus yards and allowed fewer than 100 rushing yards in 4 consecutive games, which is the longest such streak since 2010. And Giants only allowed 37 yards on the ground. As I said, it's the lowest allowed in 7 years. I mean, you weren't seeing these kind of statistics being thrown at you in 2019, 2018, or 2017. Possibly 2016, but we're dating back to like 2011, 2013, some of these stats that we're putting up defensively. And sure, maybe some of these offenses are pretty bottom of the barrel, but the fact that, you take care of business against the teams that you should, and that's a good thing. Especially Tampa. I don't think Tampa ran roughshod on us, and they're, more of an league average type offense. I mean, we did allow 8 yards per play on average, but that's, there were a lot of big plays that skewed that average here and there. That first fumble on the first drive was comical. It was something you would see in like the NFL bloopers reel back on like VHS with like, what's his name? Mel. Was it the voice of Bugs Bunny? Not Mel Hine. Mel Brooks? Whoever it is, like voicing the bloopers. I think that it was reminiscent of that. And luckily we got on it. And then, the punt return for that was muffed, which was Joe Judge broke it down in the Joe Judge report, which they had like Cam Brown as like a third gunner, 10 yards back, kind of lined up almost like in between where the punter would be and the up man, and then running towards the line of scrimmage as soon as the ball is snapped. And so as soon as the ball is kicked, he's at the line of scrimmage going full speed. I thought that was an interesting take. So now you have 3 gunners converging on the ball as opposed to 2, and that might have pressured, the punt returner to muff it. But we get the ball and we put points on the board. And yeah, so the offense still bottom third, bottom quarter of the league in terms of numbers. But when you can get takeovers and turn them into points, that's always a good thing. So if we can continue to do that, and there was an article, I think it was New York Post or something, that was saying, if this offense can just get to average across the board, this is a playoff team. But they have to get to average. And they've definitely improved in certain areas. But they have to take a couple more steps in order for this team to really be considered a threat. We did allow 5 sacks. So what's weird about this is, the people are commending the offensive line, for being better in pass protection and being better in run blocking, but yet we still give up 5 sacks. Yikes. And what's happening now is you're seeing something that you don't see from a lot of teams. Can't recall any teams that really do this as much as the Giants have in the recent past, but Matt Parrott getting a lot more snaps, mixing it in at left tackle, at right tackle, spelling Andrew Thomas, spelling Cameron Fleming. And you're seeing, you're going to see more of, like, now that Will Hernandez is coming back off the COVID list, you're going to see him slotted in at left guard. You might see Shane Lemieux go in at right guard for Zeitler. Zeitler might be a better pass blocker than Lemieux, but Lemieux's a better run blocker. Maybe that's something, you can shift with Zeitler at left and then Lemieux, they're playing around with the flexibility. And normally it's kind of counter to what you've seen on offensive lines. It would be, let's keep the 5 same guys healthy all 16 games, playing all 100 snaps so they can get some cohesion, some chemistry, and gel together. The judge has completely said, no, we're going to play to our players' strengths. And if it's a run play, we're going to have these guys in. If it's a pass play, we're going to have these players in. And we're going to, on certain situations, we're going to play to this situation with our best lineup. Interesting, radical take. And so far it's somewhat paid off. It might be, I watched a video today from Bob Papa and Carl Banks and Howard Cross, and they're saying, well, there's pros and cons to it. One is, are you telegraphing the play by who you bring in on the offensive line? So if Lemieux's in, is it a run play? If Zeitler is in, is it a pass play? If you bring in Parrott, is it a pass? If it's Thomas, is it a run? So that's what you have to look out for. But I think you can also use that to your advantage and say, Lemieux's in, oh, it's a run, play action, boot, boom, big play. So you can start playing little mind games and tricks here and there. And I think that's Belichickian in philosophy. And that's, Joe Judge is a student of the game, but also a great teacher. So there's also another great article with Patrick Graham talking about, how he was basically just super sullen and depressed on the bench after the Eagles loss, and pretty much putting 100% of the onus and the blame on himself, for the collapse there in the fourth quarter, saying, like, I am a teacher and they're my students and I taught them to play, and I should have called, and I let them down because I should have been calling better plays and schemes towards the end of that game. And I didn't teach them, how to respond in those situations. So, it's a learning season, but man, it's a very encouraging season across the board, at least for the defense and special teams. Offense is still trying to find its footing, but, I think Jabril Peppers looks good. Logan Ryan, I hope to bring him back next year if possible. You have McKinney coming back. You have the young rookies getting more playing time. So TJ Brunson got a couple snaps. Tate Crowder's coming back. So I think the defense is in a really good spot. It's just a matter of, like, can our offense turn the corner? I know we say that every week, but it really does feel like we're getting closer and closer. It's not, there's no spike. If you're looking at a graph or a chart, it's pretty much like just nice and steady. And you figure by the end of the season, we'll be hitting our stride. And then hopefully we win the title. And then who knows, we have an upset in the wild card round. Vincent Rapisardi tweeted that Andrew Thomas is the 10th best run block win rate among offensive tackles. And, this was kind of what the game plan was, I think, before the season started, before COVID hit, was like hog mollies, right? Let's ground and pound. Let's really win on the line of scrimmage in the run game, and that will open up the passing game. And, as much as like our offense does not look good on paper from a number standpoint, I mean, can you just take a moment to look back at what we were doing in week 1 with Saquon going 15 carries for 9 yards or something like that. 9 carries, 15 yards, whatever. And now we're racking up 160 some odd yards against arguably one of the better defensive fronts in football. And we did it against the Bucs too, who also have a great defensive front, JPP and Ndamukong Suh. So for me, I'm very pleased with how the run game is coming around. I mean, Alfred Morris, 9 carries for 67 yards. What the actual F? And I don't want to bash Alfred, because I think it's a great game. I think he had some good runs. There was like one run where it would have been nice if he had just tried to stay in bounds and get some more down the field. But it's nitpicky Neal coming out full blast. Third down efficiency is getting a little bit better. We were 40% on third down efficiency. We owned time of possession by a cool am I reading this right? 13 minutes. I mean, we dominated the first half, 20-3. We dominated the first half. And then, the second half, we had some missed opportunities on offense, and the defense had just some mental lapses in coverage that allowed some big gains. Daniel Jones, 23-34, 212 and a touch. He's now 4-0 in his career against the football team and 1-16 versus other teams. His other one was against the Bucs. So, if we do draft someone else, maybe we should hold on to DJ just to beat the Washington football team. Dan Salamone, this is a Giants.com writer. He passed along the best passer rating on attempts with 21 or more air yards. So that means the ball is in the air for 21 or more yards. Number 5, Green Bay with a 129.7 rating. Arizona with a 131.1. So Green Bay 129.7, 6 touchdowns. Arizona 131.1, 5 touchdowns. Las Vegas 135.4 QB rating, 5 touchdowns. So that's Rodgers, Murray, and Carr. Rodgers considered elite. Murray considered possible MVP candidate, maybe. Derek Carr is severely underrated, I think. And then number 2, the New York Football Giants, 137.4, 5 touchdowns, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is throwing the ball deep, more accurately, with more efficiency and more touchdowns than Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, and Aaron Rodgers. And he's a mere, he's 11 points behind Drew Brees, who has 3 touchdowns and a 149.3 rating, which is a little bit of it's. I don't watch many Saints games, but all I've heard all year is how Drew Brees can't throw the deep ball, and it seems like, well, he's doing all right. The NFL average passer rating for attempts 21 or more in the air is 102.3, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, yeah, we've said it multiple times. The Giants need to throw the ball deeper, because when they do, it's efficient and it works, and Jones is capable of pulling those passes off. But at the same time, is he going to get the protection? The beauty of our success against Washington, at least in the first half, was his ability to make a quick decision and get the ball out of his hands quickly. Now, can you do that on deep passes of 21 or more? No, but if you continue to hit real quick and fast, no huddle on these open passes in the 5 to 10 yard range, then you have the defense creeping up to take it away, and then you can play action, get some time, and then unleash the beast down the field more often. So that's kind of how I see things playing out. Wayne Gallman, another great game, 14 carries, 68 yards and a touch. He almost averaged 5 yards a carry. He now has 1 or more rushing touchdowns in 3 consecutive games. He had 3 rushing touchdowns in his first 43 games combined. This has been a coming out season for Wayne Gallman, and you're in a bit of a pickle now, because this was the season to trade him. The trade deadline is come and gone, And it was, I think if he had put up these numbers prior to the trade deadline, you might have seen more of a push to maybe offer him up and dangle him. Not too sure. Judge wasn't specific about which players he fielded calls on. I'm sure Evan Ingram was one of them. I'm sure Jabril Peppers was another one of them. Maybe Zeitler. I wouldn't be surprised if Gallman was in that mix because the only thing holding back Gallman was fumbles, in my opinion. I don't know why he fell out of favor with Shermer, but his touches severely decreased under Shermer. And, I think McAdoo, he was a big part of the offense with McAdoo in his rookie year. But again, fumbles killed him. Catching the ball out of the backfield killed him. But when you see him run with the ball, carries that look like they should be 2 yards, maybe they're 2 yards or 3 yards with Devontae Freeman carrying the rock or Alfred Morris, he gets 4 or 5 yards. He just gets the extra yard or two every single time. We mentioned Alfred Morris. Sterling Shepard got a nice carry for 18 yards. I enjoy seeing a receiver or a tight end. I know I make fun of it, but I enjoy seeing it if it's executed correctly. That one carry for 18 yards. I mean, it was one hell of a fucking play design. I mean, it looks like they had motion coming left from one receiver. Maybe it was Ingram. Shotgun formation with Gallman to the right. They fake to Gallman. They fake the end around to the other receiver, and then they pitch it forward or they hand it off to, they could have called it a pass. It looks like it might have been a toss forward, but they hand it to Shepard, and he's gets a big gain down the field. So Daniel Jones, though, trying to run the ball has been shut down the past couple of weeks. 6 carries, 4 yards. So I think teams are starting to key on that, which, hey, if it opens up other areas of the offense and people are keying on him and not paying attention to the running back or to the possible pass option, and we're winning, I'm fine with that stat line. Austin Mack, undrafted free agent, had a big game. 4 catches, 72 yards on 5 targets. Justin Pennick said that Austin Mack's average separation against Washington was one of the best pass defenses in the NFL, was 3.74 yards. And Golden Tate has never gotten that much separation. A little bit of an exaggeration. He said in life, high school, and Pop Warner included. But yeah, I don't think if he has, it's been a dog's age. It's been a while. Evan Ingram, yet again, 10 targets, 5 catches. There's something not clicking there. Kind of similar with Darius Slayton. A lot of targets, not a lot of catches. Evan Ingram's 16-yard touchdown in the second quarter was his second receiving touchdown in his last 14 games. He is now starting to emerge as a red zone threat and a target, which is fantastic. This is exactly what we need him to do. And he had a couple drops. He had one drop that probably should have been an interception. I think it was in the first half. It would have been a huge momentum shift where he bobbled it, went off his hands, went up in the air, and then it almost looked like John Bostic managed to pick it off. But then after further review, they saw it hit the ground, so that could have been disastrous. And then he had a big drop in the fourth quarter, second half, I think. That would have been like a 15, 18-yard grab, first down, and it probably would have put the game out of hand because you're looking at a field goal or possibly even a touchdown. Sterling Shepard, 8 targets, 6 catches. I mean, that's the difference between Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard. You target Sterling Shepard, he's going to catch the ball. I mean, his catch percentage is through the roof. So, welcome back, Sterling Shepard. I know he didn't score a touchdown. It's not a lot of yards, but it's just nice to see a guy holding onto the ball when you throw it to him. And, so I'm very happy to have him back. I really hope he's able to still stay healthy from now on, but you do need to look at the wide receiver position going into the offseason as a major need area. Darius Slayton, 1 target, 1 catch, 8 yards. And I think he's just hurt. I think there's some kind of lingering injury that's going on. Maybe teams are more shifting coverage to him. I don't know how you do that without having Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard being more open and getting more catches, but maybe seeing more doubles, more triples. Maybe, I don't know. But that's very unusual for only 1 target and only 1 catch for 6 yards. So it's either an injury or maybe it's schemes. But this is what people are talking about. when we talk about a number one receiver. Some games he looks like the number one and he's putting up monster numbers. Some games he looks like a number 4, number 5 receiver. It's like he just straight up disappears. And you can't have a number one disappear like that. Maybe once a season, but not multiple times a season. And this isn't helping things either. The Giants have a 6.9% drop rate, which is the highest in the NFL. That's from Pro Football Focus. So as much as we want to put the blame and onus on Daniel Jones, his receivers are not helping him out. And I think Evan Ingram you look at 10 targets, 5 catches. He had 2 drops, maybe 3 drops. So, that's going to be what is going to be huge in making a decision when it comes to Evan Ingram in the future. Do you think he can get over this roadblock, this obstacle of just dropping the pigskin? Do you think that he can actually work on that and get better at it? Or do you think this is what he is? He's a guy that when he catches it can make plays but he doesn't. He has crucial drops that sometimes lead to interceptions. Defensively, Logan Ryan had himself a day. Dribble Peppers, as we said. Isaac Yiadom had half a sack, but someone, I don't forget who it was that tweeted it out, said that he had he gave up like a perfect passer rating, like a 158.3 in this game against a combination of Kyle Allen and Alex Smith, which, they're not, they're no 2000 Steve Young. Is it 2000 Steve Young? 94 Steve Darnay Holmes had a pretty solid game. Blake Martinez, 10 total tackles, 7 assists, only 3 solos. Leonard Williams obviously got a big sack. Dexter Lawrence with a tackle for loss. Tomlinson split the sack with Yiadom, but only 1 assist. So it looks like Dexter Lawrence and Dalvin Tomlinson were mostly held in check, but you have to, and this is what I've come to realize, is that when you see the stat lines and you're like, wow, they're not doing shit. But then you got to think they're kind of like the offensive line for the linebackers. So if they're taking up 2-3 bodies per guy, that's opening up lanes for the purposes of Blake Martinez and I guess Devontae Downs and David Mayo, Fackrell and Sheard. Yet again, Fackrell not a huge game. David Mayo not a huge game. Fackrell's the one who got beat in coverage on that first Washington play that resulted in a fumble and a big gain. But it was mostly our secondary coming up big. And then of course, Blake Martinez, Alex Smith, 24, 32, 325, 120, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Blake Martinez also had a pick. I forgot about that. That ended a drive towards the first half, the end of the first half, which, that's been a bugaboo for us this whole season, is giving up points at the end of the half and end of the game. And we managed to make stands on both those occasions in this game. Now, can we do that moving forward? Allen was 5 of 7 for 62 yards, no touches, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I feel really bad for him because that was a bullshit move by Jabril Peppers. I love Jabril Peppers, but to leg whip like that, I mean, how in the world do you think you're going to get away with that? But I guess heat of passion, in the moment, you're not thinking about it. You just want to stop the runner. But yeah, that was just it was a low blow. And I think he did go and apologize, or at least tried to apologize to Kyle Allen. But, they had a close-up of Allen's face when he's on the cart, and he's like, you motherfucker, cool, you. Not happy. And he shouldn't be, because it was just unnecessary. So that sucks. Gibson, 6 carries, 20 yards and a touch. J.D. McKissick, 3 carries and 17 yards. They just didn't feel the need to run the ball, especially with our secondary giving up big plays. McLaurin, 7 catches, 115 and a touchdown on 8 targets. Cam Sims, 3 catches, 110 yards. He had that big catch towards the end of the game, 50 some odd yards, I think. McKissick, 9 catches, 65 yards on 14 targets. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, and they said this during the broadcast. I mean, I didn't like the broadcasters. I have not liked the broadcasters on pretty much all the Giants games. But I think it was Jonathan Vilma, and he was saying that he's played Alex Smith a bunch of times, and Alex Smith will just take what you give him. So he does. You thought like Eli towards the end of his career was like Captain Checkdown, Donnie Dumpoff. Alex Smith is that times 2. Just trying to get yardage where he can, as opposed to forcing it down the field or whatnot. And you saw what happened when he tried to go down throwing digs or whatever, over the middle of the field, down the field to the legs of McLaurin. He got picked off or tipped or whatever. So Chase Young did get a sack. Montez Sweat, no sacks, only one assist. Ryan Kerrigan, half a sack with Jonathan Allen. Tim Settle, who was Jonathan Allen's replacement or backup, got a sack. So I don't know. I feel like even though there were 5 sacks, it's kind of crazy to say that we kept them in check, but it did feel that way when you're watching the game. Jordan Renan reported, this was before the game on November 6th, that Golden Tate with 112 career starts on his resume, spending his Friday on the scout team playing Washington wide receiver Terry McLaurin. He put up a picture of it on Twitter, which was like crazy to see. And then he did not. And the next day there was news that he was not accompanying the team on the trip to play Washington and won't play in the game. And that was a coach's decision, disciplinary action. And now there's the injury report as of Thursday, yesterday. Today's Friday the 13th. Ooh. As of yesterday was that he's questionable with some kind of knee thing. So I don't know if that's like he just doesn't want to play anymore and is like faking injuries to get out of playing because he's like, fuck this team, fuck this coach. Or is it really something that is going to affect him? I don't know. The injury report is not looking great for the Philly game. Not at all, because we have Freeman aggravated his ankle injury. Shepard has a toe/hip thing going on. And then you have Tate with the knee. So it's like, thank God we didn't play a Thursday night game like we did the last go round, because we would have been severely strapped. But I think Shep should be okay. I don't know about Freeman and Tate. I had to check in on that today. The Jets have claimed Corey Ballantyne. So Ballantyne was waived. He had not registered a defensive snap in 5 of the last 6 games. Like I said, we activated Will Hernandez. We also activated the waiver wire pickup, Dante Pettis, the wide receiver from the 49ers. So maybe he's going to steal some more snaps from Tate. Looks like Austin Mack has kind of solidified himself already as a viable option to Tate. So Tate was losing snaps anyway. I think he played something like less than 50% of snaps against the Bucs. So I guess the writing is on the wall for Tate. And it's like, yeah, dude, I mean, you're earning a ton of money and they probably couldn't get anything for you at the deadline. I mentioned Tate Crowder is designated for return from IR and has returned to practice. It would be nice to get him in the mix against Philly. We also had a bunch of tryouts, a bunch of cornerbacks, a running back, and a tight end. I would say of those, Quincy Wilson was the name that stuck out the most. He's a former Jet who was recently released. Joe Douglas acquired him for a 6th-round pick in the 2020 draft. So I don't know, maybe he provides some more extra depth. I mean, we are literally just, like I said, throwing bodies at this secondary issue. We're trying our best here. Yidam is obviously not the answer. Ryan Lewis is hurt. We didn't, Beal opted out. Baker's gone. Like, it's just, we're just trying to get an able body on that side of the field so that we can minimize these big plays. So with that, let's preview the Week 10 game against the Eagles. This is Sunday, 1 p.m. start time. The Eagles had a bye week last week, which I didn't even realize until, this week. That's how out of it I was. So relaxed from my birthday weekend, but that means they got a lot of people to recover and get healthy, and they have a lot of people coming back. If you look at their injury report now, I think the only player listed as a limited practice yesterday was Lane Johnson, the offensive tackle. So it looks like Alshon Jeffrey is going to be back. A lot of other players are going to be back in the mix. Let's take a look down here if I can find it. Yeah. Jeffrey's back. Craig James should be back. Miles Sanders might be back. Jack Driscoll, Lane Johnson. So they're going to be just about as close to healthy as they've been all year. So, and like I said, it would have been nice to have Freeman, Shep, and Tate, not as banged up coming into it, but you got to roll with what you got. But the Eagles have come on pretty strong. They're obviously in first, 3-4-1. They almost came back on the Ravens, had a 1-point win over us. They beat Ben DiNucci on Sunday Night Football, and then they had the bye week. So they're gonna be pretty much fully operational. Last 5 matchups have been just really tough for Giants fans. We're 0-5, and we've lost 3 of those 5 by 6 points or less. So Philly leads the all-time series 89-86-2. They are 1-2 on the road, so they're not that great on the road. Maybe that's going to work on our favor. They score more points per game than us. They allow more points per game than us, and they have a -7 takeaway differential while we have a 0. So we're like pretty much league average, and they're like towards the bottom of the pack. So if we can carry over the ability to take away the ball like we did in the Washington game, if we can get another 5 takeaways, you can probably chalk up a win. But it is the Eagles, and it is Philadelphia. Rushing yards per game, we're pretty much on par with them. We're not that far off. Defensive passing yards allowed per game. Their secondary, as much as people want to shit on them, 4th in the league in terms of defensive passing yards per game. Meanwhile, we're 25th, and that's just because we give up huge chunk plays at the worst possible times. Defensive rushing yards per game, the Eagles are actually near the bottom of the league, whereas the Giants are a borderline top 5 unit. So Caden Smith had a concussion against Washington, but it appears that he's practicing and might be able to play this week. I don't know if we should rush him back, but it would be cool to have him in the mix. I mentioned Freeman, Shep, and Tate having injuries that might prevent them from going. Xavier McKinney is eligible to be designated to return from IR, but we'll probably wait an additional week or 2. And O'Shane Zimmon is kind of the lost man in all this, is also eligible to return, and they could return to the field Friday. But more likely the judge holds them out until the team returns from their bye week on or around November 25th, which is smart. As much as you want all your able bodies as possible against Philly, because it's a huge division game and you really, really need the win. You don't want to sacrifice players that you'll ultimately need down the stretch if you really want to make a push for the title. NFC East title, that is. Giants offense, 10th in rushing yards per attempt. The Eagles are 6th. Net yards per pass attempt, we're 30th. Philly's 31st. Yeah, so not a lot of completions down the field for either team. We're tied for the second most sacks allowed, whereas Philly's first, so it should be a sack fest, 2K20. We have the 7th best average starting field position. That's a testament to Joe Judge and his work on special teams, getting his kickoff return unit and punt returns units towards the top of the league to give the offense a fighting chance and a good shot at scoring opportunities. Of course, the offense typically squanders them. Jones is tied for the most red zone interceptions. And you might say, that's a major reason why we need to move on from Danny Dimes. But guess who he's tied with for most red zone interceptions? Dangerous. Russell Wilson. So, let's just slowly roll. Wentz is a lot better inside the 10 than he is inside the 20. He's also a threat to run for the score. So when the Eagles get in the red zone, you got to have someone on Wentz. Have to. Is that going to be Tate Crowder? Is it going to be Jabril Peppers? We'll have to see. Travis Fulgham, and Greg Ward are the receivers that we need to watch in the red zone. Even though Jeffrey's back, I don't know that he's going to be where he was when he was playing. And the Philadelphia rushing offense is tied for the 2nd most fumbles in the league. So we're going to be hacking and a punching and a whacking at that pig skin. So I predict a couple picks, maybe a couple of fumbles. We're looking at 3 or 4 turnovers in our favor. Can we turn all those turnovers into points? We better if we want a chance to come out on top. Giants defense is 11th in turnover percentage, but 9th in terms of percentage of drives ending in a score. And again, that goes back to us like not giving up touchdowns, but field goals, which most field goals are considered a win. So I don't mind that so much. Eagles are the second most penalized defensive unit in the league. So you're going to see turnovers. You're going to see a lot of flags in our favor. Now, can we take advantage of it? Can we minimize our turnovers and can we minimize our penalties? If we can do that and let them the Eagles do what they do, we're in a good spot. Eagles are tied for the third fewest. Wait, what is this? What is this? Philadelphia is sixth in pressure percentage, third most sacks, third highest sack percentage. Giants are tied for seventh in sacks, sixth in knockdown percentage, fourth highest knockdowns. Neither defense blitzes a lot, but we've seen that opposing DCs will dial up plenty of blitzes for Daniel, knowing that he is not best at making decisions under pressure. Giants defense has allowed the second most yards after catch, the third most air yards, the fourth most passing yards, and the fourth highest completion percentage. So, yeah, whoever is playing on the opposite side of Bradbury, that's how it's going to go. They're going to get targeted up and down the field. Philadelphia has the third most tackles for loss. Giants have the second most passes defended, thanks to James Bradbury. But also Dalvin Tomlinson getting his hand up at the line of scrimmage. I think that's been huge as well. It just takes away any chance of a completion. So good on you, Dalvin Tomlinson. Let's see if some of the other linemen can follow suit. We give up the fifth least rushing yards per game, second highest average time per drive. Philadelphia has the lowest time per drive and also the second lowest yards per drive. So this Philly defense is sneaky good. I know they're not the top in most major categories, but they still, they're not allowing 10, 11, 12 play drives for touchdowns or field goals. They're just not, rarely. I will say this, Philadelphia's defense is tied for the fourth most fantasy points per game to tight end. So Evan Engram, knock, motherfucker. That's opportunity at your door. You want to redeem yourself for the drop against them a couple weeks ago. You need to catch every single ball in your vicinity that is catchable in this game. If you have 10 targets, you need 10 catches. And I don't care if that 10 catches goes for 80 yards. We need to see you catch the ball and draw coverage. Because right now, I think a lot of teams are like, we're not going to get hurt by Evan Engram most of the time because we're not supremely confident that he's going to actually catch the ball. So I'd like to see Evan Engram have himself a day and really get back in the good graces of the Giants fan base. The Giants defense, on the other hand, is allowing the 10th most points per game to wide receivers. So again, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, maybe even Alshon Jeffrey, whoever's not named James Bradbury and is covering them is going to have a tough day. I'll just say that. So yeah, that's the Eagles preview. Again, I think it's going to be another close game. I think it's going to be determined by a score or 7 points or less, 8 points or less. I really think it would have been so nice to have the stadium full of fans for this one. This is one of the games that's like, it feels almost like, and I know it's crazy to say because we're 2-7, but a playoff atmosphere. Win, and we've got a pretty good feeling about ourselves heading down the stretch. Lose, and it's we're basically eliminated. So would have been sweet to have 80,000, shouting their faces off, because I don't think that this team has really experienced that yet. And I think this young team will respond in kind positively to that. Instead, it's an empty stadium and we have to do with, artificial crowd noise. And is that going to work in Philadelphia's favor? Because Philadelphia actually had fans in the stand when we played them in Philly. I don't know. But I think a lot of people are starting to believe in the Giants. I've been believing in them ever since. I think that the Bucs game was huge. That kind of cemented my belief in them. I lost almost all hope after that 49ers blowout, and then they came back and they kept chipping away. And then like 3 or 4 games where they basically had the W in their hands and just couldn't finish. So I think like I said, if they get this win, I think it's going to just be a catapult for them. Huge momentum boost, huge ego boost, confidence boost. And I think when you get these players back, like McKinney, like what do you do when McKinney comes back and we're in the hunt? Does Logan Ryan move to corner? He likes being a safety. He thinks he's one of the best safeties in football. Does Julian Love get moved to a corner position? Does Darnay Holmes get the shot at the CB2? How's Peppers fit in? Is Peppers just an extra linebacker? I don't know, but I'm very, very aroused. So that's the Giants. Let's talk Mets very quickly. The New York Mets, our New York Mets, have a new owner, Uncle Steve Cohen. And he didn't waste no time in making moves and winning the hearts and minds of millions of Mets fans. He released GM Brodie Van Wagenen and other front office executives following the completion of the sale. Omar Minaya gone. I know that people were on the fence about Omar. Allard Baird, Adam Guttridge, and Jared Banner all leaving the Mets. We also, sources say that we interviewed Michael Hill for the top baseball job, head of baseball operations. He was the first candidate to interview. He's the former Miami Marlins president of baseball operations, which, I mean, that alone, given what they did this year, and I know it was a shortened season, but the fact that they haven't been to the postseason since 2003, they're playing with a payroll that's on par with like the Rays payroll. It's one of the lowest in the league, and they still make the playoffs. Pretty damn impressive. He's 49 years old, attended Harvard University, a former minor league player, and he's been with the Marlins since 2002. So I'm sure there will be more to come, but Cohen on Twitter, he's killing it on Twitter. And the presser that he gave, that introductory press conference with Steve Cohen and Sandy Alderson, I mean, it was music to thine ears. Holy mac-o-roni. I mean, he said everything right. There was not one misfire from him at all throughout it all. And it's making waves. I mean, players tuned in and they watched. And Marcus Stroman accepted his qualifying offer, I think, in large part due to seeing that presser. He saw that. He believed in Steve Cohen. He likes that Steve Cohen is a fan, just like Marcus Stroman probably was growing up, living in that area. And like Thor, Noah Syndergaard's tweeting. He wants to run through a wall. He takes a video of himself, shirtless, looking like goddamn Thor on steroids, throwing pitches. And, Steve Cohen is reaching out to his players and contacting them and saying, welcome to the ball, like just extending himself to them. And it's just that visibility and transparency is just so nice to see because you never saw it from the Wilpons. You don't know what kind of relationship they had with their players. Was it good? Was it bad? I think Cohen's off to a phenomenal start. Trevor Bauer, Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman was the guy that we mentioned last week as if we didn't sign Stroman, would we go after Gausman? Gausman ended up signing his qualifying offer with the Giants, so we can scrap those plans. Trevor Bauer, though, George Springer, DJ LeMahieu, and JT Realmuto also received qualifying offers, and they all rejected their offers. And Trevor Bauer really liked what Steve Cohen said about him, about Trevor Bauer. And so is he now more inclined? So now you're looking at the possibility of having DeGrom, Bauer as your 1A, 1B. You can flip it or reverse it, Missy Elliott style, any matter you want. Stroman as your 3. Peterson maybe as your 4. You pick up a 5th starter, maybe Jose Quintana. And then you have Thor coming back at some point in 21. What a fucking rotation that would be. Mets and Yankees have shown interest in a 38-year-old catcher, Yadier Molina. Agent Melvin Roman told John Heyman a couple weeks back that he's seeking a 2-year deal for Molina. I'm out on that. I think the Yankees have at it. You want someone like that on your team for 2 years? Have at it. I don't see it for us. There's just too much bad blood, dude. This reeks of old school Wilpon Mets move. We're going to bring in a guy who killed us for years, and guess what? We're going to sign him thinking he's going to kill for us, and instead he continues to kill us. Hard pass on Molina. We have better options. And even if JT Realmuto is not the option, I still like the idea of James McCann. I still think there's an opportunity to possibly trade for a catcher. I'm so out on Yadier Molina. No, thank you. That's just an old Mets move. That's not a new Mets move. That's not a Steve Cohen move. So no, thank you. And it's looking like George Springer might sign with the Red Sox. Does that mean we should go after Jackie Bradley Jr.? Would we be upset? We'd be a little disappointed, but I still think Jackie Bradley Jr. is a slight upgrade over Brandon Nimmo in center. So, predicting offseason moves for all 30 MLB teams. This is from David Schoenfeld, from an ESPN senior writer. What he predicts the Mets will do: will sign George Springer, James McCann, catcher from the White Sox, John Lester, interesting. Re-sign Marcus Stroman, that's already happened, and trade for Francisco Lindor. This Lindor trade looks like it's going to happen. And it's just a matter of who we're giving up. And I've seen a couple proposals. One was either Nimmo or Dom Smith, plus J.D. Davis or Ahmed Rosario or Andres Jimenez. I would say hold on to Jimenez as hard as you can. And I'm, as much as it pains me to say, like, I guess I'm pretty much okay with offering up JD Davis. And, you know, if you offer up a package of Smith, Rosario, and Davis for Francisco Lindor, do you have to give up anything more than that? I know this is Lindor's kind of in his prime and, you know, maybe a once in a lifetime player, but I don't know that you need to give up much more than that. But it's looking good. It's looking good. So, holy mac. I mean, guys, don't want to get ahead of myself. And we're about to look at the lineup from roster projections in a little bit, but it's a little premature for that. But if you can imagine slotting in Springer in center, Lindor at short, McCann at catcher with that starting rotation I mentioned, get very excited. Yeah, I mean, the offense doesn't need a ton of help, but it would still be nice. Springer solidifies the position and brings a big bat to the lineup. McCann replaces Ramos. Nice upgrade on defense. Lester would be a back-end starter, like a fifth starter. And then Nimmo or Smith, one of them goes to Cleveland, along with Rosario or Jimenez. I'd like to hold on to Jimenez. Now, in terms of the division rivals and the Yankees, Miami signed Pedro Baez and Mike Zunino. I mean, I don't know who those are, but of course they'll probably kill us in some way on a very low minimum contract. And the Nats will sign Carlos Santana, Josh Reddick, Garrett Richards, and Shane Green. I don't know that any of those, other than Reddick, maybe, are really going to shake your boots. Phillies are going to sign Realmuto, Liam Hendricks, and Andrelton Simmons. So I think the Phillies are probably going to, that's to get Hendricks. I mean, their bullpen was worse than ours. It was just atrocious last year. So to get Hendricks as your closer, now you just got to find some setup guys. So that could get a little dicey. And the Braves trade for Chris Bryant and sign Mike Minor. So these Braves, they just continue to make, if they can make that move, oh boy. And then the Yankees re-sign LeMahieu, Masahiro Tanaka, and Brett Gardner, and sign Trevor May. So I don't know if the Yankees are improving that much. Anthony DiComo has some 2021 opening day roster predictions. At catcher, he believes that we'll hold on to Tomas Nido. We'll have Ali Sanchez in the wings, and then we're going to get a free agent or a trade for a catcher, and that will be our starter. First base, we have Pete Alonso and Dom Smith, so he doesn't see us trading Dom Smith. Interesting. I think either Smith or Alonso, a shocker of a trade, Alonso going. I don't know. He just feels like the face of the franchise, David Wright 2.0, but like more kind of out there and sociable. So I don't know, to throw in the hat on Alonso. I mean, he had a worse year, so he trailed off in a lot of key statistics, but he wasn't like that god awful that you would trade him at that point. And Dom Smith had a breakout year, but was it a mirage, an anomaly? in a shortened season. Second base, Robinson Cano and Louis Guillermo. We also have McNeil and Jimenez that could roll in there. Shortstop, Ahmed Rosario and Andres Jimenez. Other possibility, trade acquisition. So third base, JD Davis. McNeil and Jimenez also rotating at third base. Outfield would be McNeil, Nimmo, Conforto, Smith. And then obviously Davis as a fifth option. Again, I really do think you're starting to see what's happening here. We can't have infielders in the fucking outfield anymore. Just stop it. That's not what a big market contender does. They do not do that. I mean, we all remember what happened when the Cubs put Kyle Schwarber out in the outfield against us. It was a nightmare city. So I just think, as much as I love, Davis, Smith, Rosario, I just think you have to part with a bunch of them to get what you want to get to that next level. Rotation, DeGrom, Peterson, free agent trade, Matz. I don't even see Matz being part of the starting rotation. And he says that Lugo's a possibility. I don't, maybe. I think maybe you start Lugo off in the rotation, see how he fares, and then play it by ear for the rest of the year. Maybe move him into the bullpen if we're hurting there. The bullpen, as DeComo has it, is Diaz, Lugo, Familia, Betances, Castro, Gesellman, Brock, and then a free agent or trade. Other possibilities, Matz, which I don't know with Matz. I mean, I don't know. Is it? Oh boy, that's a tough one. Drew Smith, Daniel Zamora, Nick Tropiano, who they just got, Jacob Barnes, who they just got, and Aroldis Vizcaíno, I think they just acquired. So that's a very premature look at the 2021 lineup. And, to be honest, I think it's going to look a lot different from that by the time opening day rolls around. So I don't know how much stock you put into that. 7 bold predictions for the 2021 offseason. This is from John Harper, SMY TV. Marcus Stroman accepts his qualifying offer. You can check that one off the list. Very nice to have him back, as much as I disagreed with how things went down with him. It's hard to argue with his reasoning. Mets signed George Springer, which would be huge. I've been pushing for that. I know I'm not in the majority here, but that was kind of my number one priority. I know a lot of people are saying Trevor Bauer should be the number one. And an NL 2020 Cy Young winner, Trevor Bauer, should be the number one priority, but I don't know. George Springer, although it's looking like he probably might go to the Red Sox. Number 3, Mets trade for Francisco Lindor. I don't know if that's that bold. It's getting less bold and less bold prediction. It just looks like it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. We've got to make the package sweet enough. Sandy Alderson retains manager Luis Rojas. So this is an interesting one because you see like the Red Sox brought back Alex Cora after he was, let go after the ties to the Houston Astros thing. AJ Hinch who was the Astros manager who was fired because of that scandal, who now has employment again. A lot of people are thinking, okay, does that mean you're going to bring back Carlos Beltran into the fold? Why not? And from what I've heard from Alderson in that press conference that introduced Sandy Cohen, it sounded like they have faith in Rojas, and it seemed like they were committing to him. Now, I don't think that was 100% set in stone. I still feel like might be an outside chance that Beltran's open to it now that the Wilpons are gone. Did Beltran watch the press conference, and was he kind of inspired by Cohen's words? I don't know. I still think Rojas made some pretty crucial mistakes throughout the season that ultimately turned wins into losses, but not to the point where you would bail on him after 60 games. So he's just in a weird spot right now. Mets number 5. Also, they finally found out who the bombshell candidate was for the Mets. Remember last year we were talking about before they hired Beltran as the manager, there was this bombshell candidate, and I called BS. I was like, this is just off-season beat reporters trying to drum up some business, some clicks, some views, whatever. And it turns out, no, they were right. There was a bombshell candidate, and with the White Sox announcing Tony La Russa as the new manager, it started to come out that La Russa was the bombshell candidate for the Mets. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. Is he over the hill? Is he past his prime? Is he not where he was? Yeah. But would players respond to him? Maybe. I still think, with that much youth in the clubhouse, do you want an older guy like La Russa who's probably seen some shit and doesn't want to have to put up with the younger generation? Am I making assumptions? Definitely. But a lot of these guys that are in the clubhouse now have come up with Rojas. And so I think they respond to him more. And of course, La Russa has that DUI that he's dealing with now from February, which I don't know that that's really ultimately. I don't condone drunk driving, but I don't know that's gonna like completely derail him continuing as manager. It's a stupid mistake, and that's all I'll say about that. Number 5, Mets signed James McCann. Next best thing to Real Muto. He's improved in recent years, was an all-star at the White Sox in 2019, hit well in a part-time role last year, splitting time with Yasmani Grandal. Cost a lot less. And if we sign Springer and trade for Lindor, then I think he's the go-to guy. Number 6, Mets sign Brad Hand. So we need bullpen help. Questionable whether or not Lugo will stay in the rotation or return the pen. He had a strong season as a closer in Cleveland. Indians weren't willing to pick up his $10 million option. By adding a lefty who's been a closer, the Mets would protect themselves in case Edwin Diaz reverts back to 2019 form. So, that's one name I have not considered, but I guess that's a recent development. The Indians turned down his option. So, oh man, I wouldn't mind that. You'd have a little of the old John Franco, Armando Benitez type setup where it's like you got a bunch of righties coming up in the 9th, throw Franco out there. You got lefties coming up, or righties coming up, Benitez. You got lefties coming up, Franco. Nice to have options. Champagne problems, my man. And then number 7, the Mets signed Jake Odorizzi. This is another name I've not seen thrown around that much. If Stroman is back and the Mets need depth in the rotation, especially if they decide they're stronger with Lugo back in the pen, Odorizzi makes sense. Number 3 type starter whose price shouldn't be too high coming off a lost season, which injuries to his non-pitching arm limited him to only 13 2/3 innings over 4 starts with the Twins. As a 30-year-old right-hander, relies more on precision than power. Odorizzi has had enough solid seasons with the Rays and Twins over the years to make a bounce-back season likely. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So far we've seen number 1 is paid off. I could see number 2 if Springer decides to opt for money over fandom with the Red Sox. See that happening. The trade for Lindor is going to happen. I can't see it not happening at this point. I was so caught off guard when I first heard about it, and now I'm so on board with it. It's insane. I'm okay with Rojas retaining as manager. I'd still like to see what Beltran could have done, though. Maybe he comes back as a bench coach. I don't know. I think he's probably over it by now. He's how many chances can I give this organization? McCann, hell yeah, I think that happens. And then Hand and Odorizzi are interesting, but I don't hate it. So that is the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me rant and rave over a 2-day span now. Oh boy. And big weekend this weekend. Big weekend. It's a make or break weekend, folks. Make or break for the New York Football Giants. And if they can come away with a victory, next week is I'm going to be all aflutter. I'm going to be looking at playoffstatus.com. I'm going to be crunching the numbers, looking at strength of schedule. I'm going to be looking at elimination games. What if this person wins? I mean, my hair is going to be on fire. That's for sure. So let's go Big Blue. Let's go Giants. Let's go Mets. There's a renewed sense of hope in the air, you know? And even though there are layoffs abound everywhere, there was so much hope for one group of people on Saturday. I'm not a part of that group. I'm not part of any group. I'm a loner. But all that stemming from that, we're finally getting some resolution on the presidential election, and then like everyone loses their jobs. There was like 700,000 jobless claims, and it's only increasing. So, and coronavirus is making a comeback player of the year. Coronavirus, holy shit! Some would say it never went away. So even with all that going on, maybe the Giants and the Mets aren't so much of a giant mess anymore. Do I have to change the name of the show? I don't know, but I gotta go, guys. We'll see you next week. We'll talk to you next week. Adios, muchachos. Holy shit.